Within these brutal halls, half of you will perish. Surviving to the end isn't expected, it's a privilege. Merely graduating isn't just an achievement. In this academy, it is considered a literal miracle. On the very first day, the professor issued a lethal ultimatum: finish in 20 minutes or be expelled. Despair filled the air as the runes grew impossible. Suddenly, a sheet of paper was shredded apart. Christa Warden, the greatest genius of her time, watched her only chance at passing vanish in seconds. She blamed the wind, a simple mistake. She never realized a predator in the room had sabotaged her. Beside her, a boy watched the mana flow, tracing the invisible threads back to their cowardly source. Colorless, silent wind magic, the culprit, a smiling blonde prodigy pretending he was completely innocent. Only 8 minutes remained. Christa's pen became a blur as she desperately tried to rewrite everything. She begged Rain for his paper, but he refused. He knew her current method would never finish in time. "How can you know?" she cried out. He simply replied that the task was still very much possible. Her approach was too slow for this level. He seized the pen himself and began his divine work. Before the duel could even stand, the blonde brat had already reached the front of the class. Hubert, the Academy's arrogant pride, slammed his work down, certain his invisible sabotage had remained totally undetected. The professor activated the analysis circle, his eyes narrowing as he scrutinized every single complex rune. He checked the response time coldly. Adequate but mediocre, this problem should have taken only 2 minutes. Grade C Hubert's ego shattered. He claimed he was the fastest, using what he called a perfect formula. The professor revealed he knew about the wind magic. Hubert turned pale as Rain finally stepped forward. The professor chuckled darkly, disappointed he couldn't expel the problematic duo right there on the spot. Rain scoffed. "If a mere breeze stops you from casting magic, then you shouldn't call yourself a mage." The professor snatched the paper. The magic circle wasn't just different, it was fundamentally, brilliantly redesigned. A fan-shaped hybrid, unheard of. The professor demanded to know the logic behind such a bizarre structure. Rain explained the water attribute synergy, using a first-degree equation to trigger an explosive acceleration phase. The professor stood stunned. A regular student shouldn't even know such high-level, ancient magical theory. "Knowing theory is one thing, execution is another," the professor challenged. "Prove your words right now." He began the activation, expecting Rain's ego to deflate. Suddenly, the paper erupted in a blinding light. A mana star detonated within the room, and Rain began to fall. The professor started clapping slowly. 13 years of teaching, and finally, his first S rank. Yet the boy didn't even show a reaction. He walked past a trembling Hubert and whispered, "Next time, I won't let your actions slide." How did a commoner humiliate the world's elite? Let's rewind 300 years to the Empire's Great Tower. There lived Lin, the youngest 4-star mage in history, a slum orphan who lived among ancient books. He was a ghost within the library, an orphan who chose the pursuit of magic over the world. His goal was the 7-star realm, the ultimate truth. He was unstoppable until a silver-haired girl arrived. She called his name 3 times, but the cold mage didn't even grant her a single glance. She teased him, dodged a fireball, and ended up buried under a mountain of dusty, ancient scrolls. For the first time in years, he smiled. Her name was Esther, a warrior with a fading life. Knowing her death was certain, she chose to recruit a team to save the world before then. Lin asked her if being a hero was actually fun. He couldn't understand her selfless drive. "The world," she replied simply. He didn't join to save anyone, he was just curious about her. They became an invincible party. Every single member was a legend standing at the peak of power. Though Lin was the youngest, his potential was terrifying. Look at those smiles, pure tragedy in the making. At the end of their epic journey, disaster struck. Lin was infected by a lethal, incurable abyss poison. With no cure in sight, he carved a forbidden immortality seal directly into his own beating heart. His body froze in time. He promised Esther he'd return once his wounds were completely healed. She held his frozen hand, vowing to wait forever as he became a living statue of ice. He sought the peak of the 7th circle. Now, 300 years have passed. Rain wakes in a new body, finding his old friends immortalized as cold statues. History remembers them, but Rain is no mere student who got lucky. He is the legend who invented the very formulas his classmates now struggle with. Though revered as the Saint Mage, he hides while a blushing Christa calls out. She offers her gratitude, but Rain teasingly demands she say it again with feeling. Turning crimson, she declares their rivalry and vows to repay her debt soon. As she points a finger at Rain, the hallway buzzes with S-grade gossip. Rumors fly about Professor Owen's grading. Hubert failed, but Christa took the S rank. The entire academy is whispering about the results of the paired examination. They say Christa's luck changed when she teamed up with that mysterious prodigy. The next morning, Rain demands his payment and asks for the girls' dorm. She mocks his top-tier score, warning him that his arrogance will be his downfall. He counters sharply, saying a mage who breaks a promise is truly shallow. Fuming, she tells him to wait. Rain enters, ignoring whispers about the Ellsworth heir. Standing before his door, he wonders if this is truly his new sanctuary. With a pulse of mana from his amulet, he enters a luxurious private suite. The room feels like his old magic tower, a prison of endless research. For a fleeting moment, the memory of Esther flashes across his mind. He collapses onto the bed, realizing academy life is far too slow. He contemplates infiltrating the Vatican for his remains, but this body is weak. He attempts a 4-star spell, but the magic fails. His vessel isn't ready. An owl suddenly taps at his window, delivering a mysterious wooden box. Inside, he finds a shocking relic, the very diary he once entrusted to Esther. Cold dread washes over him. Someone out there knows exactly who he is. His secret is exposed. Meanwhile, Christa is pushing her limits at the training center. She tears through monsters as her friend tracks her record-breaking pace. Her friend notices her high spirits and asks if something good happened. She teases Christa, wondering if her upbeat mood is thanks to meeting Rain. Christa's heart skips a beat as her friend pries into their secret encounter. She denies everything, claiming she's just venting her frustration through combat. Her friend smirks, seeing right through Christa's clumsy attempt at a cover-up. The rumors say Rain carried her through the exam, which sounds impossible. The Rain from her childhood was a weakling. Elsewhere, Hubert walks the halls. A bully blocks the way, mocking Hubert as a pathetic C-grade loser. The crowd watches in silence, knowing Logan's cruel nature all too well. Logan laughs, mocking Hubert because a mere girl outranked him so easily. He adds that Christa reached the S rank despite having sandbags holding her back. Hubert maintains a deadly silence, attempting to walk past the provocation. Logan brings up Rain, calling him a coward who is still better than Hubert. The insult stings. Even a supposed coward is now ranked higher than him. Hubert stops, his voice cold. "Are you challenging me, you brainless muscle?" Killing intent fills the air until a sharp voice cuts through the tension. Lillian, a powerful post-grad, demands silence without even looking from her book. Logan immediately backs down, dismissing his threats as a simple joke. A scheme to crush Christa and Rain was in motion, but Lillian's eyes were cold. "Your obsession with petty plots is exactly why your mana has hit a wall. There is no glory or gain in trampling those beneath you." Hubert silenced the room with a chilling glare. "Rain is mine. Interfere, and you will be the first one I destroy." Slamming the door, the boy's rage boiled over as he struck the stone wall. How did a nobody like Rain catch the professor's eye? Rain had spent 3 grueling years as 𝒂𝒈𝒆's secret apprentice, earning his place through sheer merit. For a student without even a rank, this level of prestige was completely unheard of. Deep in his quarters, Rain studied the mysterious tome. The opening chapters chronicled the legendary life of Lin. The following pages detailed forbidden combat styles, yet even with his vast knowledge, the complexity was staggering. It was nearing 11 p. M. He couldn't fathom who would send such a treasure without revealing their identity. He reached for the switch, knowing the housemaster would be doing rounds any second now. A faint glow emanated from the pages. Suddenly, the spirit Erudian manifested, leaving Rain utterly paralyzed with shock. This was high ancient sorcery. It mirrored his past creations, yet this spirit's mana density was twice as powerful. To think an artificial soul could endure 300 years was nothing short of a miracle. Whose essence fueled this? As memories of old allies surfaced, Ruddy spoke. Unique magic research, 37% complete. A massive holographic system flickered to life before his eyes. Rain froze in disbelief. This was his life's work, the path to the Sage Realm he had started 300 years ago. The 12 battle formulas he thought were lost had survived. They were still evolving in the shadows. Logic defied him. How could a 4-star familiar calculate the progression of a 6-star forbidden spell? A smirk touched his lips. If this data was real, then his original path had been right all along. Hope flared within him like a dying star reborn. The mystery of the sender faded. Only the research mattered now. He threw on his cloak, his thirst for absolute mastery driving him into the night. Outside, the skies had opened. Unlike the freezing north, the southern rains remained humid and heavy thanks to the mountains. He walked through the downpour, his mind buzzing with ancient theories. He needed a sanctuary, a place where he could unleash his true power without prying eyes. For that, only a battlefield will suffice, a green-haired supervisor whispered, appearing from the shadows to guide him. She led him to the training grounds, a massive arena designed for catastrophic magic and unlimited space. Sealed with high-tier restoration spells, it allowed students to cast spells recklessly. Just touch the barrier with your student ring, she smiled. The blazing wall of fire parted before him like a curtain. The system registered 30 vacant chambers. With a final nod, the supervisor left him to his work. Room 15, he commanded. In a pulse of mana, he was instantly transported into the void. He summoned a high-durability target. As a 2-star golem rose from the earth, Rain noted it was a decent warm-up. He traced the Urune into a triangle, but the mana structure buckled and collapsed instantly. 1-star logic wasn't enough to stabilize the ritual, forcing him to clench his fist and refocus. He restructured the runes into a triple-threat formation. He slammed his palms together, igniting a sharp mana explosion. The impact was muffled, and the golem stood unharmed, fueling Rain's growing frustration. From the shadows, Hubert watched with a sneer. Utter garbage, he can't even manifest a basic spark. True flame magic should roar, but this was pathetic. It looked like a beginner struggling with a matchstick. Disgusted, Hubert walked away, convinced the rumors of Rain being a prodigy were nothing but fairy tales. But Rain didn't stop. He unleashed a barrage of strikes until the golem finally shattered into pieces. Another failure, he sighed. The Urune was designed to bypass armor and liquefy the core from within. Instead, it took 30 agonizing seconds to drop a mere 2-star puppet. This was far too slow for his standards. Was the geometric calculation off, or was his current mana pool simply too shallow for the equation? He grinned darkly. He had plenty of time to perfect it. Failure was just a stepping stone to divine mastery. Night after night, he refined the sigils. Ruddy proved to be an invaluable asset, logging every microcalculation. Having a sentinel that could analyze forbidden data was more than a gift. It was his ultimate secret weapon. At that moment, a subtle shift occurred. His research progress ticked up by 0.1%. Was it his theory or the refined rune? He sensed a deeper meaning, but chose not to overthink it. Time was still on his side. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind swept past, piquing the mage's curiosity. Rain identified the newcomer as Hubert. Just another arrogant fledgling from Raheen Academy, he noted. Bats swarmed the blonde youth. With one devastating punch, he reduced the monster to mere dust. With blinding speed, the boy continued his assault, obliterating every remaining monster in his path. Rain was mildly impressed. Hubert possessed genuine talent, making him a figure worth watching. Yet his movements felt strange. Meanwhile, at the academy, the professor began lecturing on complex spellcasting steps. Magic required 3 stages: manifesting the circle, engraving runes, and the final, crucial mathematical calculation. Among these steps, most mages falter at the 3rd. A single miscalculation could trigger a catastrophic magical backlash. To prevent students from being vaporized, Archmage Lin devised a safeguard known as Lin's discriminant. The professor presented an example for them, fearing it might be too complex for these students. He allotted 10 minutes, declaring that only a fool would fail such a simplified formula. The timer commenced. "Begin," the instructor commanded the class. Scanning the paper, Rain was stunned. Who had leaked his private formula to this era? These modern students struggled with basic arithmetic. They couldn't possibly comprehend his advanced logic. Only one name surfaced: Tina, that persistent girl who insisted on being his disciple centuries ago. Had she shared it? He dismissed the thought. Over 300 years had passed since his previous life. Suddenly, Christa approached him. Sensing her frustration, Rain offered to examine her work. "Preposterous," she barked. As a genius of the Warden family, she refused to admit any struggle. A deathly glare from the professor silenced her. She bowed, offering a hasty apology for her outburst. Rain questioned her intent. Stammering, she handed over an elegant box. "Just some cookies," she muttered shyly. She claimed they were merely a byproduct of her spare time, between rigorous magic training sessions. Before Rain could ask why, she snapped that she was simply paying back a debt. Rain admired her effort until he opened the box, finding blackened lumps resembling charcoal. As Christa babbled nervously, Rain stared in disbelief. "You actually consider these edible?" When she insisted, Rain joked if she'd used mud. Her rage peaked until the professor intervened again. Elsewhere, students marveled. "The Archmage Lin was truly a god-tier genius for this," they exclaimed. Hearing his own brilliance praised, the soul of Lin, now Rain basked in a warm glow of pride. They called him a saintly reincarnation. Mortified, Rain pleaded for them to stop in his head. Christa noticed his flushing face. Could he actually be shy about her burnt offerings? Beneath his cold exterior, she realized he possessed a surprisingly human and vulnerable side. The instructor approached, mocking Christa for being a delinquent who rarely graced the classroom. He offered a special lesson, but the bell rang. "Time's up, submit your answers," he commanded. Scanning the club recruitment board, Christa curiously asked which organization Rain intended to join. She chose magic volleyball, claiming noble bloodlines must maintain dignity through the sport. Rain questioned her sanity. "I only recently discovered the importance of this sport," she defended. Rain wondered how volleyball equated to dignity, but before she could explain her logic, he ignored her completely and walked away to explore other clubs, leaving her fuming. Delight Academy offered various clubs designed to foster intense competition between the elite students. Every organization served a specific tactical purpose. Options ranged from lethal combat and fire specialization to the refined arts of decorative magic. These circles united students with shared ambitions, creating powerful factions within the academy walls. With faculty approval, these clubs provided the perfect sanctuary for Rain to conduct his secret research. Rain sought exploration, yet a persistent shadow loomed nearby. Christa's relentless tagging along shattered his focus entirely. She barked about volleyball, invoking his prestigious lineage's duty. Rain scoffed. His father's shadow didn't dictate his path. A lackey chimed in, demanding he uphold family honor. Rain refused, his gaze fixed on intricate magical sculptures. He recalled eras where magic was a weapon for survival. Now, peace allowed magic to bloom into true passion. Esther once dreamt of a world bathed in prosperity. Lost in memories, Gertrude's sharp voice broke his trance. Without a word, the legendary mage began his march. His destination, the modest halls of magical development. Gertrude reeled. Didn't he value high-class social standing? Was the 𝒂𝒈𝒂𝒈 dynasty's eternal flame finally flickering out? A century of rivalry was seemingly ending in disgrace. With the Page heiress gone, the balance had shifted. Hostility flared. She envisioned Christa's new, golden era. But Christa had vanished, tailing Rain like a ghost. Driven by curiosity, she shadowed the enigmatic boy. As Rain reached the door, heated voices erupted inside. A student refused the tyrant's ruthless, unfair demands. The law was simple: the strong devour the weak. Logan stood there, radiating pure, unadulterated arrogance. Rain inquired, oblivious to the 𝒕𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆 Academy prodigy. It was a den of warriors, fueled by combat. Logan sneered, baiting the boy into a duel. He spat on the club, deeming it utterly worthless. Christa watched, the drama unfolding before her eyes. Room scarcity turned the academy into a battlefield. Magic duels were the cold, efficient deciders of fate. She shifted gears, her eyes twinkling with mischief. Rain sighed, loathing the trivial drama of mortals. Magic's true purpose transcended mere academic ego. One argued that research was the heart of progress. Yet the suffering masses remained tragically neglected. Could magic finally eradicate the plague of poverty? Logan barked, mocking the boy's naive, idealistic dreams. This club was a sanctuary for those suffering. Logan roared with laughter at the absurd notion. He seized the scholar, his grip like iron. How could a weakling change the entire world? Silence fell as Logan's brutal logic struck home. Did he truly believe in these pathetic prophecies? Cowardice was a stain Logan simply couldn't tolerate. Forget the masses, could he even save himself? Gripped tightly by the collar, the boy trembles in terror. Logan sneers, mocking the pathetic sight of a prey who can barely keep his eyes open. Questioning if the boy is even conscious, Logan decides a brutal wake-up call is the only way to cure his cowardice. He prepares to slam the kid into the stone floor, but a crackle of lightning intervenes. Rain's electric surge forces Logan to release his grip. Mana flares around the protagonist like a rising storm. He suggests Logan test his strength in a magic duel rather than bullying the weak. Logan's eyes narrow as he scans this newcomer. Rain calmly introduces himself as the club's newest member, standing his ground. After a grueling session of meditation, his synchronization rate edges forward, rising from 37.1% to 37.9%. Rain contemplates the true nature of his power. Magic isn't a miracle that grants every wish. It has its own harsh boundaries. Despite its limits, he believes magic should be a beacon of hope, an oasis conjured in the heart of a barren desert. He recalls Esther's request from her travels. She sought simple, life-saving spells that could protect the innocent and ease the burdens of the common folk. Logan's gaze drips with pure hatred. This insignificant freshman had dared to interfere with his entertainment. His face shifts into a predatory mask. "A new member, is it?" he asks, his voice laced with hidden malice. He notices Christa standing in the shadows. Something about the boy's crimson eyes feels dangerously familiar to him. Logan approaches, dismissing his cruelty as a bad habit of thinking out loud before correcting his tone with a fake smile. He claims he was simply coming over to offer a greeting, then asks if Rain was actually serious about the duel. With an arrogant smirk, he demands confirmation. The protagonist remains ice-cold, confirming his challenge without a shred of doubt. Logan laughs at the absurdity. If this brat wants to play hero, Logan is more than happy to grant him a lesson in despair. He mocks Rain's confidence, but Rain strikes back, asking if the great Logan is actually feeling a tremor of fear. Rain offers a devastating handicap. He claims he won't even need to use magic to defeat a bully like Logan. He even suggests limiting himself to only 3 basic club spells. Logan is stunned, wondering if the boy has completely lost his mind. Rain's aura is absolute. To Logan, this isn't just a bold challenge, it's the peak of suicidal stupidity. Logan mocks his own slips of the tongue again. He reminds Rain that formal approval for new members usually takes 3 days. At this moment, the fight isn't an official match. It's a raw, personal clash of egos. Sensing a hidden scheme, Rain tells him to cut the act. Logan proposes a wager, the club's freedom against his total dominance. But the price of losing was far more sinister. If Logan wins, the boy must drop out of the academy entirely. Logan laughs, even as he feels an inexplicable, crushing pressure from Rain. Meanwhile, Christa had been listening to every word from just outside the doorway. She bursts in, calling the deal a total sham. Logan snaps at her to shut up and stay out of a warrior's business. Surprisingly, Rain tells her not to interfere. She stares at him, wondering if he even realizes the trap he's walking into. Locked in a dead stare with Logan, Rain declares he will win regardless of the terms. He tells Logan to name the time. He'll be ready whenever. Logan laughs, deciding they'll need a faculty member to judge this one-sided execution. No need for delays. The duel is set for 6 o'clock tonight at the prestigious Dragon Blood Arena. Brushing past a stunned Christa, Logan leaves behind a chilling warning. He'll be waiting to crush the newcomer's spirit. Walking through the corridors, Logan smirks. The principal and the elders would be delighted by the big fish he just caught. He could already tell that today was going to be an absolute masterpiece. Christa confronts Rain, asking if he's forgotten his place. A freshman challenging a monster like Logan is pure insanity. Rain casually flips through a book, dismissing her concerns by mentioning his status. She tells him to stop playing games with his life. He ignores her and grabs more research. Fuming, she storms away, cursing herself for ever worrying about such an arrogant idiot. Rain watches her departure, genuinely confused as to why she's so worked up. The club leader is equally baffled. Mages of noble bloodlines usually avoid duels that put their reputation at such risk. Rain notices a peculiar detail. The leader wears a dragon wing ring, an artifact far too powerful for a mere second-year student. Shaking off the mystery for now, Rain asks why everyone is so terrified of a simple match. The leader explains that the stakes are too high. He admits he's more confused than thankful, asking why Rain would risk everything for him. Rain admits it was to fulfill a silent promise. The guy is left puzzled, but offers his heartfelt gratitude anyway. Still, he warns Rain that he's underestimating his opponent. Logan isn't just a bully, he's a predator. He explains that Logan is known as a Mage King, a specialist in long-range destruction who annihilates mages before they can even react. Boasting a 90% win rate, he was a lethal monster forged in blood and steel. His friend sighed, warning that his reckless tongue had finally invited certain destruction. Cleaning his glasses nervously, he worried that provoking a brute like Logan was a fatal mistake. He was a son of the soil, sent to the academy by his village's life savings. His magic research was a desperate vow to repay their faith and transform his humble home. Yet reality was cold, and a suffocating anxiety began to drown his noble intentions. Clinging to a failing dream, he wondered if the heavens were demanding his final surrender. With a forced laugh, the leader stepped forward, offering to face the coming storm alone. Rain's gaze sharpened like a blade. What exactly is pathetic about having a dream? Seizing a tome, Rain reminded him that the duel was already set in stone. "I'll return these soon," he noted, his silhouette disappearing into the dim hallway. "Do you know why Archmage Lin sought magic?" Rain asked. "It was to survive." As whispers trailed him through the corridors, the weight of the coming battle grew heavy. The wildfire of gossip was spreading through the academy faster than he had anticipated. A sharp, familiar voice cut through the noise. "There you are, you little brat." Ellen stood there breathless, her eyes frantic with exhaustion and hidden worry for her nephew. Before he could even greet her, she lunged, locking him in a bone-crushing headlock. "I'm losing sleep because of you," she barked. "Tell me this duel is just a rumor." When Rain confirmed the truth, she descended into a fit of hysterical, maddened laughter. "My nephew is a lunatic," she groaned, nearly popping his head under her iron grip. She scoffed, warning him that Logan's fists would hurt far more than her embrace. As she sighed, Rain asked with his usual calm, "Were you actually worried about me?" "Me worried? Don't be absurd," she yelled, punctuating her denial with sharp forehead flicks. She warned that only a brutal beating from Logan would cure his reckless arrogance. As she turned to leave, Rain offered a sincere apology for the trouble he'd caused. "However," he added firmly, "I will never bring shame to the Elwood name." Exile was a possibility, but she was more furious at those mocking her family bloodline. Her pride flared as she turned back, giving her nephew one final, chilling command. "Crush him. Remind the world why the name Elwood is feared by all. Show them a gap they can never cross." The showdown at the arena had begun. Total domination was always the plan. The entire academy gathered to witness the legendary spectacle. A fallen noble against a savage brute, the faculty watched the clash with bated breath. "Who is your bet on?" she teased. "The savage prodigy or the mysterious underdog?" To him, bloodlines were irrelevant. Power was the only truth he chose to support. She chuckled at his bluntness as the referee, Theon, stepped into the magic circle. In this sanctioned duel, the loser would be at the absolute mercy of the winner. "Step forth and face your destiny," the referee's voice boomed across the stadium. Logan discarded his cloak with arrogant flair, met only by Rain's freezing, cold indifference. The crowd whispered that Logan's heavy preparation was overkill for a mere washed-up noble. Christa flinched as Gertrude approached, feigning indifference while her heart hammered with anxiety. She claimed she only wanted to see him crushed, but Gertrude saw the truth. Experts knew that for an apprentice, a long casting time was a certain death sentence. Against a close-range specialist like Logan, how could a mage like Rain possibly survive? Suddenly, gasps erupted as Rain revealed his weapon, a common, everyday cleaning broom. "A broom," Logan barked in disbelief. "You dare face me with literal trash." The arena erupts in mockery, jeering at the boy who brought a broom to a duel. Christa hides her face in pure shame. The judge questions the weapon, but Rain simply shrugs. He just finished sweeping the library and decided it would suffice for this. Logan sneers, asking if this is a pathetic plea for mercy. The confidence from earlier has vanished, replaced by a janitor's tool. The brawny mage scoffs, claiming Rain is throwing the match just to escape the humiliation of a real, magic-based defeat. Rain's retort cuts deep, asking since when mages won duels with mere words. Logan's rage boils over until the referee intervenes. The judge steps forward, coldly announcing the final stakes before the massacre officially begins. If Logan falls, he serves as a lowly guard. If Rain loses, he's banished from Lillian forever, his future completely erased. "Are there any objections?" The judge demands silence. In unison, both combatants seal their fates with a final, chilling agreement. Theon unleashes his mana, warning the spectators to clear the area. The 10-second countdown to absolute destruction has officially begun. The magical clock ticks down. Every eye in the academy is glued to the impending collision of raw power. Ellen's aide offers to handle the paperwork so her mistress can watch, but the cold beauty refuses to even move. The assistant marvels at her composure, but Ellen snaps back, her icy gaze demanding why she shouldn't be calm. The terrified assistant immediately bows, trembling under her master's sudden irritation. Gazing through the glass, Ellen whispers of a hidden legend. Why watch a fight where the victor was decided long ago? 0, the signal rings out. With a savage grin, Logan tears away his bandages, preparing to unleash his full might. He tells Rain to memorize this face, for once he is expelled, they will never stand on the same level again. Mana surges. The secret art of the Chayhak school awakens, etching glowing circuits of raw power across his entire body. A concentrated core of magic blazes brightly over his heart. Hubert is stunned by the sheer speed of the activation. One mistake would shatter organs, yet the boy is a natural genius. Rain remains unmoved, clutching his wooden broom. Logan roars, vowing to end this farce in less than 10 seconds. Our legendary protagonist sighs, Then, like a lightning bolt, the muscle-bound mage lunges forward. The crowd gasps, frozen in shock as Rain stands completely still against the oncoming storm. Logan's fist nears his target. He brags that his barrier is impenetrable, a dual-purpose spell designed to shield and explode upon impact. There is no escape now. The only thing remaining is to crush the arrogant noble into the dust. But at the moment of truth, the broom handle dances. Rain deflects the lethal blow with an effortless, spinning parry. Confusion strikes Logan, but before he can blink, a second strike from the broom handle slams into his chest. Logan is sent hurtling through the air. The professor recognizes the ancient warrior staff technique, long lost to history. 3 centuries ago, this very style placed the Ōsirius school among the 8 divine pillars of magic. Crafted by the great mage Lin and the heroine Esther, it turned mages into unstoppable close-quarters combatants. The professor's mind races. How could the heir of the Elwig family possess such forgotten, legendary knowledge? Then she notices the impossible. The fragile cleaning broom in the boy's hand hasn't even sustained a single scratch. Striking a reinforced body should have shattered the wood. She realizes the boy is manipulating magic on an unthinkable level. Rain exhales as the stadium erupts. No one can believe the Academy's top talent was just sent flying by wood. Logan staggers up, coughing blood in disbelief. His invincible fortification was shattered by a common janitor's tool. Our protagonist peers down coldly, reminding him of his arrogant promise to end the duel in 10 seconds. Rain decides to be merciful. Since beating a junior is tedious, he'll finish this in a mere 6 seconds. The air grows heavy. Logan stomps his foot in a blind rage, shattering the arena floor to throw Rain off balance. He launches a barrage of jagged stones, turning the debris into deadly, magic-infused projectiles. Rain bats the rocks away like flies, but as the dust clears, his opponent has completely vanished from sight. Sensing danger, Rain reinforces his broom to block a rear assault, but the real threat is descending from the heavens. Logan drops like a meteor, landing a devastating kick. A massive plume of smoke engulfs the entire stage. But as the haze thins, Logan finds himself sinking helplessly into a bottomless pit of mud. While Logan struggles, Rain's voice echoes. He explains it was just a simple 1-star spell used for plowing dirt. Rain stands atop a pile of rubble, nonchalantly detailing how a flood prevention spell can also serve as a perfect trap. With a smirk, he asks if it wasn't useful. The crowd is left in stunned silence at this display of power. The instructor watched closely, his mind racing with tactical analysis. He noted that maintaining the high ground was the ultimate counter to Logan's brute force. From his view, Rain had perfectly predicted the strike, turning the very earth into a swampy prison. The entire arena fell silent as the crowd sensed the battle reaching its climax. Suddenly, our protagonist hurled his broom. The crowd froze in shock, and even Logan looked up in utter confusion. Christa screamed from the sidelines, telling him to stop playing around and finish it with magic. Meanwhile, deep within the mud, Logan began gathering every ounce of his monstrous strength. As the broom fell, Logan launched like a guided missile, shattering the wood and aiming a lethal strike. But just before impact, massive, ancient roots erupted from the ground, halting his momentum instantly. Jaws dropped as Rain performed high-tier life magic. Logan realized the broom was just a clever distraction. With a calm gaze, the regressed mage spoke with chilling authority. He had used only 3 spells as promised. "Shall we end this farce now?" he asked. Consumed by humiliation, Logan cursed under his breath, refusing to accept such a pathetic defeat. He thrashed like a wild animal, desperate to break free. Rain watched, wondering if he'd overdone it. "Perhaps these vines are too restrictive," he mused, analyzing the elemental flow like a true master. Rain noted the agony on Logan's face with a cold, indifferent expression. "Don't worry," he whispered. "The pain will end soon." He raised a branch, aiming for the eye. At the final second, he flicked his wrist, tossing the weapon aside with total disdain. Logan roared in frustration, demanding to know why Rain was toying with him. Silence, Rain commanded. The battle ended the moment you were trapped. Just accept your loss. He reminded the bully that pain is a great teacher. Stop your petty villainy from now on. The platform dissolved, and for the first time, the arrogant genius felt the weight of true mercy. Rain watched the mana dissipate, noting the spell's incredible potential for future combat. Feeling bored, our hero remembered the duel required a formal surrender or a total collapse. As Logan fell, Rain released a precise wind spell to seal his victory. With a smoking finger, he claimed the match was already over, so that barely counted as an attack. The judge finally regained his senses, announcing Rain of the 𝒂𝒈𝒂𝒈 family as the undisputed winner. The stadium erupted. The useless noble had just achieved the impossible. Christa's face lit up with relief, while Rain noticed a figure approaching from the shadows. It was the club leader, trembling as he thanked Rain for defending their honor. Our protagonist played dumb, but the senior student was overcome with genuine emotion. Rain stopped him, acknowledging the raw determination he felt in the leader's weak magic. "Your efforts were never in vain," he said, his voice carrying the weight of a legend. Realizing he'd broken his hidden persona, Rain quickly asked for a small favor. He encouraged the leader to keep innovating, believing the school would soon no longer need his help. Leaving the crying student behind, Rain wondered what his old friend Esther would think of this. He shook his head. He wasn't that person anymore. He was something much more dangerous. Back at the dorms, the academy was buzzing. Logan woke up to the sound of his own downfall. No one could believe the failure of the 𝒂𝒈𝒂𝒈 family had crushed a true genius. A searing headache throbbed in Logan's skull as the reality of his defeat set in. The professor stood over him, his voice cold. "You've dragged our family name through the dirt." Terrified, Logan tried to appeal to his big brother, but his excuses fell on deaf ears. "In this academy, I am your professor," the man barked, sending chills down Logan's spine. With a heavy sigh, he told Logan to rest, but the boy feared the wrath of the elders. "Stop pretending to be a genius," the professor spat, turning his back on his failed brother. He sneered, asking if the boy truly believed he was special just because the world treated him like an elite. Head low, the boy whispered a denial with trembling lips. Suddenly, the professor brought up the name 𝒂𝒈𝒒𝒒𝒂𝒈𝒒𝒂𝒈. The truth came out. Rain had served as the legendary 𝒂𝒈𝒂𝒈𝒂𝒈's assistant for 3 whole years, leaving everyone stunned. If that cold-hearted monster kept him for 3 years, the professor realized Rain's talent was truly on another level. Consumed by rage, Logan refused to accept that the family's eldest son could possess such hidden, terrifying potential. Ignoring his brother's warnings, he swore an oath of vengeance. Next time, he would crush the brat into the dirt. The professor sighed at his stupidity. It seemed a crushing defeat wasn't enough to break the boy's delusional pride. He questioned Logan. How could he call someone so clearly superior a disgrace to their noble bloodline? Logan was the one spared by mercy, yet he chose denial. Disgusted, his brother told him to rot in his arrogance. Walking away, the professor dropped a cold reminder. A bet is a bet, and the debt must be paid. Alone in the silence, Logan lied to himself, claiming his fear was merely respect for his brother's authority. Flashback to 15 minutes before the duel. Rain stood within the great library of Delton, the Empire's grandest sanctuary. He stared at the books in his hands, the personal diaries and biography of Lynn. Something felt strangely out of place. Turning to the secretary, he inquired where he could find more records regarding these legendary figures of the past. She handed him 2 more volumes, the Chronicles of the Master Archer Kais and the Fire Dragon Priestess, 𝒕𝒕𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆. Memories flooded back of a playful wager with the priestess. She had challenged him to see whose legend would be thicker. Back then, Lynn had just scoffed. Why should he care about the opinions of historians he'd never even meet? The priestess had taunted him, teasing that he was simply afraid of losing a bet to a living legend. Falling for the bait like a child, he accepted. After all, the outcome seemed obvious to him back then. Esther, balancing a stone on her blade, chimed in with a calm smile. Her gold was on Lynn winning. When Frey questioned her loyalty, Esther simply replied that betting on him was the only logical choice to make. Lynn pressed her for the truth, but Esther only offered a mysterious smile and a cryptic answer about fate. Sensing her hesitation, he pushed further. Finally, she confessed, her cursed bloodline meant her time in this world was fading. Kai's was already old, and Friedi's path was fraught with peril. None of them were destined for a long life. But Lynn was young and full of life. She believed he would be the one to carry their legacy furthest. She dreamed of a future where his story was the longest, a wish that their names would live on through him. Clutching the dusty volume tightly in his hands, the boy chuckled at the cruel irony. He was the first to fall. In his heart, he conceded victory. Comparing the records, he saw the truth. It was Kai's whose life story had grown into the thickest tome. He marveled at Kai's achievements, founding a renowned school and passing his divine skills to a new generation of masters. Kai's had found love and built a family. A warm smile touched Rain's lips, glad his friend found peace. But when he opened the priestess's biography, a chill hit him. Her records abruptly ended in the year 1168. She had ruled the Republic with grace for decades, but then, her trail vanished into thin air. She disappeared for decades, only reappearing when the Witch Association officially declared her dead in the year 1200. Something felt wrong. A woman who thrived in the spotlight would never choose to fade away in such silence. He tried to tell himself people change, but as he slammed the book shut, his intuition screamed otherwise. He knew her soul better than anyone. A quiet end was impossible. A dark secret was hidden behind her disappearance. A terrifying thought struck him. What if her disappearance wasn't a choice, but the result of a sinister betrayal? How could a world-renowned savior simply vanish into the shadows, without a single soul noticing her departure? Frustration boiled over as he gripped the pages. He needed deeper records. He needed the archives of the Republic itself. Suddenly, a voice interrupted. A girl offered him another biography, claiming it held answers about Esther's legendary circle. He reached for it eagerly, but his heart stopped. It wasn't Esther's book. It was the biography of his disciple, Terena. He stood frozen, lost in a whirlwind of memories, until the girl's concerned voice pulled him back to reality. Masking his shock, he thanked her and began to read. How had that mischievous brat become a world-class shaman? To command the very spirits of nature meant she had ascended to the absolute peak of the witch hierarchy. Mastery like Fried's isn't for commoners. Could this girl truly be the successor he's searching for? After hours of research, one question remained. How could any mortal survive for such an eternity? Fact or fiction? Rain realized that to uncover Fried's secrets, he needed a Republic-forbidden tome. Suddenly, a sharp signal echoed through the air. The grand duel was finally about to commence. He loathed the attention, but his pride demanded action. He asked the girl to guard the book. She hesitated, warning him that if another student requested the volume, she couldn't refuse them. Rain nodded calmly, promising to return for the book in exactly 15 minutes. After crushing Logan, Rain returned to the library only to find the librarian looking utterly frantic. Her eyes locked onto Rain's, desperately asking if he had taken the book. He denied it. Rain's heart sank as Karen confirmed the unthinkable. The moment she turned away, it vanished. A thief? Impossible. Any unauthorized removal would have triggered the library's ancient magical alarms instantly. Rain's mind raced. Who could steal it so fast? One look at Karen's face proved her innocence. She wept, apologizing for breaking her promise. Rain simply smiled, refusing to let her suffer guilt. He insisted on paying for a replacement, shouldering the blame himself despite her desperate protests. Stunned by such noble kindness, she bowed low, thanking the mysterious mage with all her heart. Back in his room, Rain pondered his strange satisfaction. Being thanked felt surprisingly good lately. Was it this youthful body, or the peaceful academy life, softening his legendary, cold heart? Regardless, He couldn't ignore these anomalies. A hidden force was moving against him from the shadows. The coincidences were too glaring. The diary he gave Esther had somehow returned to his possession. Moreover, the moment he investigated his past companion, Tina's chronicle disappeared without a single trace. Could Tina be alive? No. Everyone from his era as Lin was long dead and buried. The invisible puppet master remained a mystery, but then he noticed his progress bar had surged. Why the sudden jump? All he had done today was dominate a rival using basic magic. It clicked. The path to the ultimate truth was paved through the violence of magical combat. Yet his excitement cooled. A legendary mage knew that true power required more than raw brutality. While strength ruled the world, the path of a master wasn't built on simple thuggery alone. Blasting inanimate targets only granted a measly 0.1% increase to his hidden progress. But crushing Logan yielded 0.8%. Live combat was the ultimate shortcut to power. Assaulting students was too risky. To farm experience, Rain considered becoming a high-ranking adventurer. Besides, legendary tomes were expensive. Hunting monsters would provide the gold and the growth he needed. The next morning, the Academy's hidden genius was swamped by a sea of adoring fangirls. Rain's cold rejection was ignored. The girls laughed, mistaking his genuine annoyance for playful charm. Jealous whispers filled the hall as boys envied the classy way he handled his morning harem. Their gossip was nauseating, but the atmosphere shifted instantly when Christa, the Ice Queen, arrived. With one sharp glare, she dispersed the crowd like a storm, finally claiming her rightful seat. Gertrude leaned in, teasingly whispering that his new title should be the legendary Lady Killer. She vanished with a smirk, leaving Rain to face Christa's icy and visibly smoldering rage. "Why are you mad?" he asked. She hissed back, ordering him to stop bothering her forever. Rain sighed, giving up. Was this fallout from revealing a fraction of his overwhelming magical power? She snapped her book shut, admitting that watching him crush Logan was actually quite satisfying. What truly enraged her was his deception. A man of his caliber should never act weak. He had conquered both Logan and herself. He should stand tall with the pride of a victor. Now that his true strength was out, she could finally crush him without feeling like a bully. Pointing a finger at his chest, she declared that next time, she'd grind him into dust. The classroom erupted in whispers. The ultimate showdown between the genius and the underdog had begun. Their eyes lock in a cold stare. Our hero warns her that staying standing will only drain her grades. She yields with a nod, taking her seat while thanking him for the timely advice. The class marvels at Christa's sudden grace. Yet Gertrude sneers, thinking Christa's declaration of war was pathetic. That weekend at the Central Library, Librarian Karen delivers grim news that leaves Rain stunned. Something has gone terribly wrong. Every record of Torina has vanished, seized by the interrogation unit of the elite children of gold. He asks if the shaman was branded a heretic. Karen's grim silence confirms his worst fears. Rain's mind races. Why brand someone a heretic long after they have already passed away? He questions if Karen read the text. For a dedicated librarian, it was essential, forbidden knowledge. It chronicled the legends of archmage Lin and Frey's most mysterious disciple. Rain freezes, doubting they mean the same person. He presses her about any traces of dark arts. She saw nothing but a standard biography. Anything sinister would have been purged by the censors. This only deepens the mystery. Rain realizes the truth is buried beneath layers of deception. With a heavy sigh, he realizes his only path leads to the lawless black market. Karen stares, baffled by his dangerous new objective. He explains the underworld trades in everything from heretical scrolls to abyss-cursed relics. Finding Tina should be easy. Karen frets over the cost. Rare, forbidden items carry a price tag that could bankrupt a commoner. Rain knows he cannot use family funds for heresy. He must find the gold himself, in secret. 3 gold coins is the average price, a fortune that a simple librarian could never hope to earn. To bridge the gap, He needs quick cash. Should he sell forbidden spells or teach magic to novices? Both paths are far too slow. Time is a luxury he simply does not have. Only a high-stakes gamble will suffice. To claim the ultimate prize, he must put his life on the line. He bolts for the exit, offering a quick thanks for her invaluable guidance. Karen calls out, desperate to know his plan. Rain smiles, ready to test a new theory. He declares his intent to become an adventurer, to fund his secret mission. Karen pleads with him, fearing Noble's scandal. But for Rain, speed outweighs family reputation. Helpless, her heart sinks in despair. Next morning, a stern investigator demands answers about Rain Elwick and the forbidden biography of Torina. First years are banned from borrowing. He demands to know which official broke the sacred rules. A colleague points the finger at Karen, noting she is currently away on her day off. The man wonders if the rookie simply misunderstood the protocol. The librarian nods, citing it as a possibility. Another clerk suggests a simple clerical error. Perhaps Karen confused the name Rain with Elen. Karen's handwriting is a chaotic mess. Distinguishing between those two names is nearly impossible. With Rain's name on everyone's lips, it was a mistake just waiting to happen. Whispers of secret trysts follow them. Love, after all, makes even the sharpest minds go dull. Convinced, the man dismisses the issue. He will simply swap the names after the meeting concludes. Once, adventuring was just a desperate man's trade. It meant bloody brawls and backbreaking toil. Now, they are elite mercenaries hunting world-class monsters. Top-ranked elites are hailed as legends. Rain muses on how much the world has truly transformed. Inside the guild, rumors of lethal spiders and high bounties fill the air. He listens intently. He marches forward, absorbing every detail until he reaches the front counter. Rain makes his demand. He wishes to register as an adventurer. The receptionist spots his prestigious uniform. She asks for his student identification to begin the registration process. She freezes upon seeing his name. The Elwick family, a lineage of immense power and noble standing. Why would a high noble descend into this world of mercenaries? Raina presents the final paperwork, asking him to sign the bottom line. She explains it's a mandatory clause for high-ranking nobles. The guild avoids liability for incidents, as Rain senses past scandals. A century-old incident forced the guild to create this legal protection. Handing over an iron tag, she confirms his official registration. This badge marks his start at iron rank, peaking at diamond. Previous combat expertise is usually reflected in one's initial rank. It proves whether an adventurer can survive high-level missions. Rain skips the lecture, already knowing the system's core basics. He ignores her warnings, eager to begin his new journey. She reminds him that higher ranks unlock far deadlier quests. Now, he's officially a registered adventurer. With only 44 silver left, he needs monster rewards immediately. He targets rat spiders, weak pests worth 2 silver each. To profit, he'll have to slaughter a massive swarm. Reaching the gate, he sees how much this land changed. A shady merchant selling life potions draws a massive crowd. Without dragons, monsters have finally begun to overrun the world. The salesman urges Rain to buy protection before the trail. He declines, seeing the path to the fire shrine remains. These stairs hold memories of his ancient, legendary companions. The shaman's hometown is still safe. He prepares to purge the pests when a woman appears. She claims to see through his disguise with intense energy. Rain points to his uniform, asking if it's not obvious. Flustered, she immediately begs him to join her elite party. She reveals her team, starting with the Titan behind him. Meet Bart, the silver vanguard who looks more like a beast. She scolds his rudeness, defending her comrade's terrifying appearance. Bart is a softie, unlike their quiet apprentice priest, Sammy. Finally, she introduces herself as the genius archer, Rem. Rain wonders if they're actually a dangerous criminal gang. He asks if they're just a group of kidnappers. A furious Bart looms over him, ready for battle. Suddenly, the massive warrior bursts into dramatic tears. Rem sighs, used to people fearing their scary looks. Why recruit an iron rank? To her, ranks mean nothing. She smiles, sensing the immense strength within him. Her spirit mirrors Esther, his loyal ally from long ago. Sammy warns that many young students die in these woods. They offer him freedom, despite the lethal dangers ahead. Rain thanks them but chooses to hunt solo. Rem lets him go, trusting the boy's hidden power. The party heads out to find the spider habitat. Suddenly, a sweating Rain taps Rem's shoulder, joining them. Rain accepted the invitation. With his new party, he marched toward the rat-spider nest. Deep within the woods, the beasts feasted. A lone spider froze as it sensed an intruder. The team grew restless. Not a single monster appeared, making them doubt the rumors. Bart proposed an even split. The young boy agreed without a single moment of hesitation. They questioned if this was Rain's debut. Did he truly understand these creatures' horrors? Rain feigned ignorance. The cleric described the chimeras, vile rats fused with spider bodies. Their hive followed a strict hierarchy. A queen ruled over her soldiers and mindless workers. Workers devoured the forest while soldiers hunted humans. Hearing this, Rain focused on the queen. The young priest shook his head. Their mission did not involve facing the sovereign today. The plan was simple: cull the soldiers. The reclusive queen was best left undisturbed underground. Rain challenged their logic. Why not just annihilate the entire nest in one decisive stroke? Bart laughed it off. To him, the queen was a distant concern compared to the soldiers. Hunting her required massive resources. They prioritized soldiers who were currently terrorizing the village. Rain grinned mischievously. If the risk was that high, the bounty must be truly legendary. Rem warned him to stay focused. Even high-rank elites feared the queen's devastating power. Suddenly, the girl's eyes lit up. She had spotted their prey amidst the thicket. Descending the slope, she announced they had finally reached the rat spider's killing fields. While airborne, Rem fired 2 arrows. 2 monsters fell before they could even react. The warrior charged in immediately. 2 more spiders were crushed under his overwhelming strength. The scout signaled a massive swarm. Rem realized the beasts had already caught their scent. They needed to end this quickly. Bart nodded, ready to unleash his full combat prowess. Rain watched the carnage. He wondered if his lack of action would affect the payout. The priest simply prepared the campsite. Their job was merely to ensure everyone's comfort. Rain was stunned by the simplicity. They never intended to let a novice enter the fray. He could not fathom why they even posted a request for help. Sammy revealed their true intentions. They sought to help Rain while funding their priesthood exams. Even with enough gold, they continued. Their altruism was a rare sight in this world. Rain sensed their genuine warmth. This selflessness felt like a divine grace rarely found in mortals. The priest gave a gentle smile, finding peace in Rain's insightful words. The cleric spoke of a bond beyond scripture, a human connection that transcended religious duty. He cherished these shared moments. To him, the joy of companionship was life's greatest treasure. He paused suddenly, realizing he had shared more than he ever intended. Apologizing for his chatter, he felt sheepish. Rain simply nodded, valuing the rare companionship. Memories of his past comrades resurfaced. His thoughts drifted toward the legendary Witch of Ashes. Rain inquired about Torina. The young man gasped at the mention of the infamous witch. The priest knew little of her fate. He wondered if the church branded her a heretic. The memory was hazy, a fragmented piece of a timeline that felt both real and false. Chaos erupted as a hunter faced a nightmare. A colossal shadow loomed over the man. Agonizing screams pierced the woods. Bart bolted toward the source, sensing an unprecedented disaster. The sight was horrifying. A massive beast held a fallen comrade within its crushing jaws. Rem's face paled in sheer terror. The nightmare they feared was finally standing before them. Fate had played a cruel joke. The reclusive queen had ascended to the surface world. Rain questioned her sudden appearance. This monstrosity was double the size of a standard queen. Years of isolation fueled her growth. She had evolved into a truly catastrophic threat. The queen unleashed a deafening shriek. A wave of agony washed over everyone in its path. Panic erupts as the queen's screech shatters their resolve, drowning out Bart's desperate warnings. Sammy signals a retreat, but Rain questions the fear while the priest senses true horror. For when the queen descends upon the battlefield, the swarm unites into lethal squads, leaving rookies no chance against the sudden onslaught. Rem parries the strike, shielding a fallen comrade from the arachnid's lethal fangs. Target the queen, Bart bellows. Rem nods, focusing her intent on the monster's core. The leader barks orders. The priest must guard rookies while Rain shields the cleric. With supernatural focus, the Emerald Archer fires 4 shafts simultaneously with lethal precision. Our hero recognizes the move. It is Kai's legendary simultaneous precision shot technique. Bart cleaves through the guard, burying his massive axe deep into the queen's skull. Joy turns to ash as a dark, living ink oozes from the monster's grievous wound. Get back, Rain shouts. Bart dives away just as the corrosive liquid erupts. The survivors tremble in terror. That liquid is alive and hungry for their souls. The queen rises, discarding the axe like a toothpick as the weapon melts away. She gouges out her eyes to birth new ones, fixing her gaze on paralyzed Bart. Carving through the horde, Rem realizes they have stepped into a living nightmare. Bart, run. Her scream is useless. He is frozen as the creature's jaws close. Witnessing her friend's agony, Rem's spirit ignites with a vow to slay the beast. A shaft pierces her temple. Stop ignoring me, Rem sneers, kicking through the trash. She scatters the minions like dolls. The cleric urges Rain to join the final attack. But Rain is paralyzed by trauma, haunted by memories of poison and ancient darkness. This is dark magic. Sammy snaps Rain out of his trance as the battlefield burns. I lack attack spells, Rain lies, hiding his supreme power from those around him. The priest begs for a miracle. Rain watches his team fall like wheat before scythes. With tears falling, he asks a single question. What is the bounty on her head? 20 gold coins, the cleric gasps. A fortune equal to 1,000 lesser rats. That is enough. Rain strikes with his staff, triggering a massive, arcane explosion. The world trembles. Rain taunts the beast, promising to end its existence personally. He invokes the heavens. A blinding pillar of lightning shatters the gloom for all. The queen recoils, releasing her prey. Rain channels his hidden, ancient aura of power. Save the wounded. Rain barks, ordering the survivors to shield the healer at once. His gaze is cold, locked onto the queen. This ends now by my hand. Despite a severed limb, the queen rages. Rain charges, weaving high-level mana threads. He obliterates the path. Sammy can only pray while tending to the broken survivors. Facing the horror, Rain's fireball strikes her neck with devastating, explosive force. She counters, but the mage slides through shadows, tracing a 3-star magic circle. A jagged leg shears the air, narrowly interrupting his lethal, star-ranked incantation. A 3-star spell is risky. He must remain calm despite his physical limitations. Activating 𝒂𝒈𝒆, he confirms the presence of 3-star forbidden dark arts. A soldier lunges from the dark. Rain evades with the grace of a master. He weaves a mana rope, knowing his current body cannot endure this abyssal venom. He needs 4-star magic, but the risk of detection is far too great. A total mess. He must find a path through this chaotic, dark magic nightmare. Bleeding and broken, Rem staggers up. The cleric pleads for her to stay down. She refuses his help. Save Bart first, she commands, her warrior spirit unyielding. A soldier lunges. Despite her wounds, Rem counters with a lethal strike. Potato Head panics. Rem snaps back. Focus on the spider rats. No time for worry. Rain senses defeat. Retreat is their only hope. Suddenly, a projectile shatters the bark beside him. Horror dawns. It is a soldier's severed eye, staring back. The queen is purging her kin. She spots Rain and launches a soldier like a living missile, plummeting to earth, but the nightmare has just begun. The beast charges. Rain erects a desperate earth barrier. Staring into death's maw, he braces for the end. Thwack, an arrow pierces the queen's eye. Rain can only watch in stunned silence. The queen rips the shaft out. Rem glares. "I told you not to look away," fury erupts. "Run, Rem," Sammy screams. She stays firm, just a few more seconds against this relentless tide. "This is pathetic," Rain hisses as lightning flickers from his fingertips. Rem tears a blade from her flesh. "Watch yourself," she roars, slamming the queen down. "Finish it." Trembling with faux fear, Rain retreats behind a boulder. "Stay calm," he whispers. Hidden from sight, he begins. Mana flows as complex geometric circles materialize. The secret weapon is ready. Rem delivers a crushing kick, but her vision blurs. She is running on pure adrenaline now. She must endure, but the world fades to gray. Consciousness slips away in an instant. The queen tosses her aside like a doll. Sammy rushes out, but a cowardly guard blocks his path. Behind the shadows, Rain's concentration reaches a fever pitch. The ritual continues. Chaos erupts. Sammy seizes the opening and sprints toward Rem's fallen form. Rain coughs up crimson. This ancient mana is taxing his young body. Death looms over Rem. Suddenly, Sammy sweeps her up, narrowly evading the strike. Everyone is frozen in shock. "What are you doing?" Rem gasps. Sammy grips her tight. "We are surviving this together." "No more reckless stunts, promise me." Rem smiles weakly. "Fine, but you are writing an apology letter for that outburst." A deal is struck. They face the beast as one. "Ready," the queen pounces. But the air suddenly ignites. Rain's calculation is complete. A cataclysmic fireball erupts. 4 layers of geometric mastery incinerate the darkness. Angle, rule, bind, disperse. 14 polynomials weave together into a symphony of supreme magic. Coordinates locked, power output maximized, the equation is solved. The final seal breaks. A pillar of divine fire turns the queen into ash. The hunters shield their eyes from the blinding heat. Only a charred husk remains. Rain slumps, breathless. How weak! In his prime, 7 casts would not have cost a drop of sweat. The queen's remains scatter like gray dust in the wind. The once vicious horde now trembles like cornered prey. The alpha is dead. Do not let them escape. As the monsters flee, Sammy rushes to Bart's side. Rem stares at the scorched earth. A monster that strong, vanished in a single blink. Sammy begins the healing chant. Rem wobbles, her stamina finally hitting its limit. "Is he okay?" Sammy nods. "He is too stubborn to die today." Bart wakes, eyes full of regret. "Do not sweat it," Rem smiles. "I am already patched up." "Bad luck," she sighs. "But that regeneration, it is not in our records. Something is wrong." Yet, that single blow erased her from existence. Who truly did it? Under the moonlight, they find Rain. "Mana depletion," the mage diagnoses. His core is completely drained. Rem ponders. Did he pour everything into that final, desperate strike? Why hide? Rem wonders. Maybe he just needed cover. Sammy cuts in. Questions later save him. Every second counts. As they work to save him, Rain's mind wanders back to his life as Lin. Surrounded by allies, he demanded his name be struck from the hero party's records and reported to his majesty. The elder stood stunned, baffled that he'd refuse a king's tribute prepared for those saving humanity. Esther narrowed her eyes, wondering if he truly hated them or if this was just a prank. He really needed to stop acting like such a chaotic troublemaker. Looking confused, the protagonist explained he was simply cut from a different cloth than them. Free's expression hardened, but Lin noted he wasn't bound by a divine destiny like Kai's or Freed. He lacked a holy mission and wasn't driven by a sense of righteous sacrifice for others. Pure curiosity was his master. His involvement was nothing more than a twist of fate. He claimed recording his name would only tarnish the hero party's legendary reputation. Kai's laughed, patting the boy's head as the group chuckled at his bizarre humility. Annoyed, he snapped it wasn't worry, but a highly logical conclusion. Esther gently took his hand, claiming him as part of their group forever. She urged him to live freely, as the world already hailed him as the legendary archmage. Rain woke up, finding himself in the heart of the city. Carried by Bart, he watched as Rem confirmed they were nearing the Grand Academy. His body screamed in agony, yet he felt relieved they'd evaded that sinister dark sorcerer. Bart's voice lowered, asking if that devastating fire spell was actually his secret power. Rem saw through him, forcing Rain to admit he wasn't hiding it on purpose. She whispered in realization, explaining they'd kept his secret safe by weaving a clever lie. They decredited a magic scroll for the feat, offering to revise the report if he wished. Rain declined the fame, so Rem promised to respect his secrets without asking another word. Vowing to repay him, Rain's eyes only gleamed when a gold reward was mentioned. Rem stared at him, absolutely speechless at his greed. He shot back a look, insisting he had rightfully earned every copper of that bounty. She expected a noble speech, but Rain mocked her daydreaming, sparking a round of laughter. He joked about 5 gold coins, though Bart insisted the full reward belonged to him. Rain tried to argue. Rem interjected, advising him to use these powerful connections as a golden opportunity. He agreed before the priest suddenly asked if he hadn't been inquiring about Tina. The protagonist nodded, asking why. Sammy mentioned church rumors. It seemed the shaman had dabbled in forbidden dark magic in her final years. Rain smiled as they parted, but his face turned stone cold once he was finally alone. At the library, he leaned his chin on his hand, scouring ancient texts for the truth. He slammed the book shut, finding no record of Torina ever touching the dark arts. Staring at the cover, a vision of his past life as Lynn surged through his mind. Gripping his staff, the young mage once ventured into the rotting ruins of a lost village. Deep in a swampy shack, he discovered the 7-year-old Torina trembling in fear. With a casual snap, Lynn ignited a fire using torn pages from old, forgotten books. He muttered that it would suffice, walking toward the girl as her ragged coughing started. Torina's terror only vanished when she saw the bread he pulled from his bag. He offered the meal, assuring her it wasn't poisoned or laced with any hidden danger. The party watched in silence as the girl refused to speak, making Lynn sigh heavily. Finally, she shattered, weeping that her parents and everyone she knew were gone forever. Lynn asked if her village had ever known the world outside, but she knew nothing. Standing tall, he realized she was now the sole guardian of her people's forgotten legacy. A life forgotten by everyone, he sighs, is the ultimate form of solitude. He warns her that if she dies, her entire world vanishes without trace. Desperate, Tina clings to him, sobbing. Lynn moves closer, then you must eat. Offering bread, he commands her to survive for the sake of those memories. Only she can carry that burden. She eats now, fighting for her existence. Through bitter tears, she finishes her meal, becoming his shadow from that day. Her talent was immense, but Rain only taught her magic meant for survival. Even when their paths diverged, she practiced relentlessly without a single word of complaint. They focused on humble water and earth spells to protect and save lives. Every spell was a gift. By the fire, Freedy teases Lynn's soft spot. He scoffs, telling them to focus on things that actually make sense. Observing her progress, he questions if his feelings are sympathy or true compassion. Her tragic past mirrors his own. Finally, the day to leave her arrives. She says a quiet goodbye. Esther urges a quick departure to avoid pain. Lynn nods, silently praying for the young girl's safety and future well-being. A priest shows her the massive estate, promising she will eventually feel home. She remains silent and heartbroken. The man promises they are her new family. Suddenly, the silent Torina finally speaks her hidden, burning truth. She declares this isn't home. Casting a square circle, she acknowledges only her master. An elder in black robes confirms her admission into the church is complete. Panic ensues, as they find the priest pinned against a pillar by vines. The elder orders a hunt, but the smiling priest chooses to let her go. The elder protests, but eventually yields to the priest's strange calm. Recalling her trap, the priest remembers demanding his release from her vines. She chose her master's side instead. The priest smiles at the fire of youth. The elder grumbles that the priest is far too tolerant of such behavior. A desperate cry stops Lin. He turns to see an exhausted Torina chasing them. Shocked, Lin asks how she escaped, using only the basic magic he taught. She collapses and begs to stay, swearing she will never be a burden. After a glance at Esther, Lin agrees but warns their paths must part. He sternly questions if she used her powers to harm others during escape. She promises she didn't. Thus, the girl officially joins the legendary heroes party. Her talent explodes as they travel. She is truly a once-in-a-generation prodigy. Recognizing her potential, the party begins training her in diverse, advanced magic arts. Despite her timid nature, she absorbs every spell, growing at an impossible rate. Soon, she becomes powerful enough to slay high-tier monsters with ease and grace. Fully accepted, she receives a surprise gift from Esther during a quiet night. Joy radiates from her as Freddy points to Lin holding a straw hat. Her hope is dashed when Lin reveals the hat is actually for himself. At the abyss, she stands as an equal, yet Lin orders her safety. She refuses to hide, desperate to prove her strength in the final battle. Esther intervenes, siding with Lin. The danger ahead is simply too great. She pleads for support, but silence greets her. Their shared journey flashes back. Lin insists she is too inexperienced for the cataclysmic threat they now face. Their original bond of 4 must be the ones to end it. The 4 companions stood victorious. Gently ruffling her hair, Lin reassured her. A promise to return and master magic together. Fighting back tears, she vowed to wait. With a final smile, they departed. Thus, their shared journey reached its end. Rain grew suspicious. That girl was destined for dark magic. Torina's records were suddenly being suppressed. Rain opened the book, placing the Rudian artifact against his brow. System notification. Research progress analyzed. Increased from 37.9 to 39.9. Progress was slow despite the slaughter. Only a 2% gain. The road remained long. He found a sketch of Lin. Below it, she called him the world's greatest master. Rain smiled warmly, but his expression instantly darkened. Something felt wrong. Dawn broke over the battlefield. Green-robed figures surveyed the carnage with visible irritation. The residual heat was dangerous. This destruction would draw the Golden Children and deter adventurers. A witness gasped. This was at least a 4-star tier spell. Interrogation confirmed it. Rem and Bart were definitely involved in this explosion. The rogue snarled, craving bloody revenge. His partner warned against alerting the Golden Children. Then we simply won't get caught, the rogue retorted with malice. Priority preceded vengeance. When questioned, the leader's gaze turned cold and calculating. Report to Torina first. Back at the academy, students rushed to check on Rain. I'm perfectly fine, he assured them calmly as they entered the hall. The president called for order, signaling the start of the official meeting. President Joan marveled at the massive turnout. His local magic club was finally flourishing. Joan smiled, hoping everyone would foster a spirit of cooperation. Just as the orientation began, the door creaked open, drawing every eye. Joan turned, his voice trailing off as he froze in sheer disbelief. It was the genius Logan. Silence fell as the elite student introduced himself coldly. Stammering slightly, Joan welcomed him, noting his arrival was perfectly timed. Joan gestured to a seat. Logan's blood ran cold. The only spot was beside Rain. Rain's lips curled into a wicked smirk, gesturing mockingly at the empty chair. With everyone seated, Joan called for a fresh start and mutual dedication. A man of your word, I see, Rain teased. Logan grunted, citing strict rules. Amidst the lecture, Rain's mind drifted. Could he truly defeat the Black Mages now? Checking status, 12 magic power, 311 stamina. He desperately needed physical conditioning. Random training was useless. He needed a master guide, and Logan was the perfect prey. The training field became a hellscape. Rain endured Logan's brutal, bone-crushing drills. Logan recalled the strange request. Why would the boy who humbled him seek his guidance? "You defeated me," Logan spat. "What could you possibly learn from a loser?" "Don't be bitter," Rain replied lightly. "You're the Academy's poster boy for physical combat." "A true musclehead prodigy," Rain joked, making Logan's veins throb. "I lost," Logan growled. "But even so, don't you dare insult the prestige of my school," Logan roared. Rain sighed, scratching his head. "Trust me, I'm far too busy to mock you." Closing his tome, Rain's gaze sharpened. "If you're confused, let me be blunt. You are undeniably strong. I need that strength to refine my own physical vessel." He was genuinely impressed that someone so young possessed such overwhelming physical power. Logan faltered at the compliment. "A powerful body is the ultimate foundation, one I currently lack." Proper training was essential. Anything less would be a waste of his potential. Who better to guide me than a true master of the physical arts? Logan sighs heavily, finally acknowledging the boy's unmatched potential in this field. He admits Rain is a genius, but refuses to teach him, suggesting he find another master. Assuming it is about money, our hero offers a fortune, but Logan coldly declines the gold. Noble blood versus school factions. In Logan's eyes, their lineages make them sworn enemies from birth. Factions do not fraternize, leaving our protagonist visibly irritated by such narrow-minded logic. Rain calls out, and as Logan turns, a lethal magic circle glows inches from his face. Making a mock gunshot sound, he warns Logan that mercy is his only reason for living. Smoke rising from his palms, Rain explains that he does not see Logan as a foe. This is not a battlefield, and they are not soldiers. This is an academy for learning. As fellow scholars chasing the same arcane truths, hatred has no place between them. Stunned by the boy's undeniable wisdom, Logan finally yields to the weight of his words. Exhausted and collapsed on the floor, Rain finishes his task, earning a rare nod of approval. Rain demands respect for his resolve. Logan agrees, immediately pushing him toward the next grueling trial. The boy begs for a hand up, but Logan demands he find his own strength. Logan warns that their alliance would trigger a hunt from both the nobles and magic schools. Hearing those words, Rain mocks Logan's physique, suggesting he simply crush anyone foolish enough to complain about them. A smirk breaks on the giant's face as he helps Rain up while their teacher watches. Suddenly, Christa enters the training hall, her eyes widening at the suspicious sight. Suspecting another brawl, she questions them, but they play it cool, claiming it is basic training. Ignoring her shock, Logan offers Rain a drink. Christa panics, fearing Logan is manipulating him. Annoyed, Logan snaps back, telling her not to ruin their hard-earned moment of camaraderie. She acknowledges their status, but demands to know why this sudden friendship has blossomed. A heavy hand drops onto her shoulder as a voice scolds her for being loud. Fear grips her. It is Professor Owen. Logan wonders what business the professor has here. Owen insults the group like rowdy monkeys, before revealing he carries a crucial announcement. They press for details, but Owen delivers grim news regarding a coming rite of passage. This test sorts the elite from the weak. Here, the only rule is absolute, endless competition. He turns, warning that any failure in the exams means instant, cold expulsion. Preparation is life. Later, Rain rests in his dorm, pondering the coming storm Owen described. As he plans his next move, his Rudian system begins to flicker and glitch violently. Confusion turns to shock, as a blinding flash pulls Rain into a mysterious white void. The system announces his unique magic research has finally reached 40% completion. Surprised by the timing, Rain initiates the mana circle. The Lord of Fluent World begins installation. Within this mental domain, rune combinations surge by 33%, while his destructive power skyrockets by 66%. A glowing rune manifests. Casting requires 20,000 mana, far exceeding his current 12,000 level. Stunned, Rain learns this seal is the key to unlocking the legendary lord's mental barrier. The world flickers, returning him to his bed. Rain stares at the device, processing everything. Mental barriers, a god-tier technique only 2 legends in history have ever mastered. Realizing this, Rain understands he has just touched the realm of true divinity. As dawn breaks, our hero bandages his hand, setting his sights on the black market. The calm weather offers a rare reprieve from the recent chaos. Finally, a moment of peace. Suddenly, he collides with a passerby, offering a quick apology for his lack of focus. The stranger dismisses the bump. Rain looks up, only to find Bart and his arrogant crew. "Long time no see," he smirks. Rem blinks in total confusion. "It's only been 3 days, weirdo." Rain nods, but before he can walk, Bart hoists him up onto his massive, armored shoulder. "Time to move," Rem commands. Rain kicks wildly. "Hey, put me down, you brute, this isn't funny." Rem laughs. "Students are always busy. This is the only way to actually drag you out." "This is kidnapping," Rain shouts. Rem smirks. "There's a reward for that queen kill, you're not skipping." "Do I really have to?" Rain sighs. Bart grins. "Stop being stubborn, showing face is the job. Besides, the headquarters is watching." Rain pauses. "Wait, you mean the actual Adventurers Guild headquarters is involved?" They reach the guild amidst a storm of whispers. Rain stares with bored eyes. "What's the commotion?" Rem explains. "Bart S. from the Sword Saint's lineage. I'm a disciple of the legendary drunken archer school." "But you ended that mutant queen in a single divine strike. People are talking, Rain." "Maybe your masters are just pathetic," Rain scoffs. Rem snaps, but Sammy quickly holds her back. Bart stays stoic. "Maybe to you, but we fought through hell just to reach silver rank." "But facing that queen, we realized how weak we truly are." Rain falls into deep, silent thought. A shadow looms. An archer pulls back his hood, and Rain's survival instincts scream in warning. "So the new stars have arrived." A hush falls. "Is that the legendary bow saint himself?" "The 4 martial stars," Sammy whispers. "The absolute pinnacle of the Empire's military might and honor." Their aura is suffocating. Huge power and absolute honor, just like the terrifying legends whispered. Rem looks pale. Sensing her distress, the archer narrows his eyes and steps closer with curiosity. He studies Rem and grins. "Well, what a surprise. What's my little cutie doing out here?" Rem breaks into a cold sweat. You must have me mistaken for someone else, sir." "Makes sense. No way my dojo runaway would dye her hair and play adventurer. Does your brother know?" Exploding in rage, Rem begins throwing a frantic flurry of punches at the legendary hero. The saint eyes Bart. The leader figures. Only a monster could have crushed that mutant like that. "You've got real potential. I can see the steel in your soul from right here, kid." "Take care of Rem," the archer laughs. Bart stays calm. "We're a party, we carry the burden together." "We don't lead each other. We simply cover the blind spots that would get us killed." "I like you, kid," the saint laughs. "Keep this up and platinum rank is practically yours." Rain freezes. He looks exactly like Kai's. The man walks up, eyes narrowing at the boy's face. "Familiar," the man mutters. "It's not just the face, it's that unmistakable heavy vibe you carry." "I'm Rain Lewick." The man's eyes widen. "Rain, then you're Scaly's grandson," he slaps his shoulder. "You look just like that old man," the saint chuckles. "Especially those sharp, piercing eyes of yours." "I owe your grandfather a debt that can't be repaid in one lifetime. It's good to see you." Rain watches them talk. If Kai's could speak, would he sound like this legendary martial star? Rain glances at the weapon on his back. In what state is his companion's bow truly in? Suddenly, the bow vibrates violently. Rarin grips it tight. Why is this weapon reacting so fiercely now? A warrior interrupts. "Time's up." The saint nods, signaling the start of the grand event. He unfurls a scroll, reads 2 lines and groans. This script is way too long. He tosses the speech aside. Good job, kids. You did great. That's all I have to say. 2 gold coins and 500 points each. Enjoy your rewards. You've earned them today. Guilds swarm them immediately. Rain and Sammy watch from afar. Look at them. They're the new celebrities. Is lying about the scroll really okay? Sammy whispers. Rain nods. It keeps the target off us. Done with the noise, Rain turns to leave. Sammy sighs, knowing he can't stop the boy. You're bronze rank now, Rain. Don't be shocked when people start recognizing your face on the street. I just hope trouble stays away for once. But in this world, peace is a fleeting dream. Deep in a shadowed alley, our protagonist checks his Rudian, calculating the time until his mental barrier awakens. There is still a long path ahead, but this barrier is the key to mastering his ultimate mana training. The sage's domain, a peak he never reached in his past life, is finally within grasp. Suddenly, a voice echoes, "Young Master Ludwig." The mysterious stranger warns him that this path won't lead to the legendary black market. The merchants have vanished and the market is sealed shut. It wasn't a wrong turn, it was a strategic retreat. Removing his hat with a polite grin, the man reveals his true identity as a Magic League member. He requests a moment of Rain's time. At a nearby restaurant, Rain ignores the menu, demanding they get straight to business. The mysterious man simply chuckles, telling Rain there is no need for such intense hostility. He claims he isn't here for the black market. Suspicion flares. How did this man track Rain's secret movements? Even more alarming is the sheer, overwhelming pressure of the mana radiating from this stranger. Introducing himself as Doran Slade, he reveals he belongs to the League's elite Special Operations Department. To Rain's shock, Doran was once his father's personal secretary during their legendary academy days. Rain glares with cold eyes, asking what he's really after. Doran insists he isn't an enemy. He's here to prove he's a powerful ally to the young master. He needs the truth. Was Rain the one who annihilated the mutated queen? There are no records of any recent scroll purchases, even if they had prepared in total secrecy. No mage in the last 10 years has possessed the power to craft a scroll that devastating. He even checked if Rain's grandfather, 𝒂𝒈𝒏𝒈𝒆, had intervened, but the old man remained silent. Locking eyes with the boy, Doran realizes there is only one logical conclusion left. Rain realizes his secret is out. He never intended to hide forever, but the shadow of the dark mage looms close. Stunned by Doran's intel, Rain wonders if this man is a brilliant investigator or just a professional stalker. Their tension is broken as a nervous waiter arrives with the wrong food order. The trembling waiter asks if the meal was meant for only one person. Seeing 2 skewers, the man just shrugs it off. He can easily finish both portions himself. With his signature cold, indifferent gaze, Rain stands up to leave. This meeting is over. Doran stops him with a shocking offer, an invitation to join the League's elite special ops team. Rain scoffs, reminding him he's just a student. Doran clarifies this is an offer for after his graduation. With the family head still healthy, inheriting the fortune will take years. Why not hunt criminals in the meantime? If he accepts, he'd gain the authority to hunt dark mages on his own terms. But Rain walks away, completely uninterested. Doran drops a final warning. The Dark Church is becoming dangerously active once again. The League's leaders are blinded by a false peace, but a catastrophic storm is brewing on the horizon. Pointing his skewer at the sky, Doran admits he fears the world isn't ready for the coming slaughter. Rain feigns ignorance as he departs, though deep down, he knows the weight of Doran's words. Must he fight the church in this life too? Perhaps it's better to let the professionals handle the carnage. Doran shouts one last time. If he still needs black market access, he should take the VIP escort mission during his break. Rain ignores the embarrassment. Suddenly, a mysterious girl drops from the sky, asking if Doran was rejected. The girl, sporting heavy dark circles, wonders why he's so obsessed with this specific genius young master. Doran reveals a secret. Rain isn't just part of the golden generation. The woman slumps into a chair. Since Rain has no ties to Torina, they must widen their search for other potential suspects. She asks if any freshman could truly be in league with a monster like Torina. Munching on his skewer, Doran's instincts scream yes. They must dig into every student's hidden past immediately. Deep down, Doran knows the truth. This kid is far beyond anything the golden generation could dream of. Cavanette realized he had birthed a monster, for no one's future terrified him quite like Rain's. Within the library, Rain told Karen the book was unreachable, masking his true thoughts with ease. The librarian sighed, blaming the entire ordeal on her own momentary lapse in judgment. Relieved he was unharmed, she smiled, while Rain asked if a suspicious man in a hat had appeared. Taryn denied it, but then a faint memory suddenly sparked in her mind. She recalled an agent from the Special Errands Department paying a mysterious, sudden visit. They were supposedly vetting veteran staff before vanishing, though Karen never even caught a glimpse of them. Rain nodded and thanked her for the intel before making his way back toward the dorms. Strolling the halls, Rain sensed Doran's lingering presence, wondering about his secret black market contact. 2 heavy crates awaited outside his door. The moment for his ascension had finally arrived. 2 massive spirit jewels gleamed within, the perfect vessels to fuel his ultimate mental barrier. He touched the gems. His 12,000 mana fell short of the 20,000 required for the spell. He channeled 8,000 mana into the gems, causing them to pulse with a blinding radiance. The drain was brutal, leaving him breathless. The infusion was complete, but stabilization would take time. As darkness blanketed the world, Rain opened his eyes with a cold, sharp gaze. Weaving signs, he invoked the honored fluid world, igniting the jewels as the formation took shape. Cracks spiderwebbed across the gems, and Rain coughed up crimson blood from the sheer magical pressure. Despite his initial fear of failure, a glorious golden light suddenly flooded the entire room. Everything vibrated with power. Standing up, he tested a magic circle and gasped at the impossible results. The intuition was absolute. This magical formation had reached a state of divine perfection. The mental realm refined itself, perfecting every complex equation automatically. He realized this was his soul's true image, a mental barrier reflecting a mage's deepest essence. Riot Warden's ancient words finally made sense. One's thirst for truth manifests as a mental reality. This world didn't grant knowledge, but it perfectly compensated for his every technical flaw and weakness. This was a godsend. Now, Rain could master any spell through solitary training without a teacher. A smirk crossed his lips. He was one step closer to the legendary 7-star rank. In the lounge, Medilia questioned the chaotic schedule, which Kyle confirmed would shift to the freshmen soon. Word of the freshmen's monstrous talent had the entire faculty buzzing with restless curiosity. Ivan admitted his information was scarce, yet the air felt thick with anticipation. Things were getting interesting, especially regarding the hidden prodigy who had finally revealed his fangs. In this academy of monsters, no one could predict the coming storm. Ellen seethed with crossed arms until Caroline, sensing her boiling rage, urged her to remain calm. A teacher mocked Caroline's confidence, suggesting her own student would be the next one crushed. Caroline just laughed it off, while Medalia privately plotted the path to inevitable victory. Camissa, the Page family heir, was destined to become the Academy's unbreakable golden pillar. Suddenly, Professor Marhana interrupted, commanding them to mobilize and flare their powerful auras. The students were to be summoned immediately. The hellish exams were commencing today. Rain sat looking half dead, wondering if Logan mistook him for some tireless machine of war. As classmates scrambled in a panic, a bewildered Rain asked Christa for an explanation. They were ordered to the auditorium at once for an emergency examination briefing. Rain questioned the timing, but Christa warned him that Lillian thrived on sudden, chaotic changes. Gertrude appeared, explaining the surprise was a tactic to weed out those who relied on procrastination. Rain countered that true genius produces absolute results, regardless of any unexpected circumstances. Though she laughed, Gertrude secretly despised his arrogance, labeling him a typical, annoying noble brat. Rising up, Christa declared, "That's exactly why you must give everything." They entered the hall, where Gertrude saw faces filled with dread. The atmosphere was suffocating. Suddenly, Rain spotted Logan and called out to his rival. Logan noted Rain's swift arrival, but our protagonist played it off like it was nothing. Gertrude hissed a warning, labeling Logan a dangerous enemy Rain must absolutely watch out for. Rain just shrugged. How could a guy who brings him daily protein snacks be a threat? Livid, she snapped, wondering if he was some common pigeon easily bribed with birdseed. Logan smirked, mockingly offering Christa's lackeys a dose of his special magical supplements as well. With veins popping, Gertrude threatened him. If he wanted a fight, he was in for pain. Logan laughed off her threats until Christa intervened, demanding total silence with a freezing glare. Her icy command left Rain stunned. She was dead serious about maintaining order in the hall. Gertrude bowed her head. Christa warned them, "Survive this exam or lose your entire future." At that exact moment, a playful voice praised their killing intent, urging them to keep that fire for the tests. Professor Caroline appeared, announcing a brutal 5-day gauntlet starting today, sparking immediate outrage among the students. But that wasn't the worst part. Instant expulsion. One failure meant being kicked out of the academy that very same day. Caroline then introduced the proctors. From the shadows, the true titans of the academy emerged. The atmosphere shattered as students recognized the legendary figures standing before them. Gertrude grabbed Rain, frantic. How could he not know the legendary Professor Marina? She was the former sovereign of the Magic Alliance, now ruling over Delay Academy. That title was reserved only for the absolute strongest mage of an entire generation. Logan froze in awe. Gertrude realized Marina was the one who replaced Rain's own grandfather. Rain pondered his grandfather's immense power, realizing this woman was a literal monster. Then she pointed out the other proctors, who followed in Marina's wake. Behold Kyle, the genius who topped 1,378 classes. Professor Gyern, the tower master at age 20, and the famous scholar Professor Ellen. These were the elite instructors for upperclassmen. Gertrude felt the overwhelming pressure of this lineup. Marina let the silence hang before her voice cut through the air like a blade. "Silence!" Her magically amplified shout struck terror into the hearts of every student present. Leaning on her staff, she sneered that these trials were meant to cull the weaklings. She warned that the days of mercy were over. No more easy passes from here on. If they lacked talent, they were finished. The crushing weight of her words terrified everyone. Sensing their fear, Marina flashed a predatory grin. Finally, they looked ready for war. The exams were split across unique zones, tailored to each student's hidden traits and potential. Their destinies were assigned. It was time to report to their designated proctors immediately. She reminded them, "This is Delayan, where only the strong are allowed to exist. The weak are mere trash to be discarded." With that, the legendary mage dismissed them. Deeper in a cavern, Professor Kyle announced the start of a perilous labyrinth trial. Panic spread among the students, wondering if they would even survive this maze safely. Rain stroked his chin, noticing something odd about the cave's unnatural magical geography. He questioned the labyrinth's presence in the Red Dragon Legion's sacred territory, surprising Kyle. Kyle was impressed by Rain's insight, but assured them this maze was his own creation. It was an artificial trap under his total control, dangerous, yet supposedly not lethal. That probably didn't help. Kyle then reminded them that failing was the real threat. He favored relative grading. In this cutthroat system, only the top dog earns an S rank. High ranks earn an A, but fall below 39th. That is a failing F and an immediate retest. Survival depends on speed. To clear this trial, Every monster within the labyrinth must be completely annihilated. You will face this in pairs. Fail to finish within 40 minutes, and you are expelled on the spot. Kyle reveals the pairings, formed by entrance scores. Check your results and find your partners immediately. Rain wonders who his unlucky partner is. Suddenly, a strange clay doll plummets from the sky. Before he can react, a boot crushes it to dust. It is Christa, looking as arrogant as ever. She mocks the cruel heavens for making them rivals today. Get ready to lose, she sneers. Today, she declares, I will shatter your pride into a million pieces. Suddenly, the massive Logan intervenes, eager for chaos. He has good news for an already miserable-looking Rain. With a grin, the giant reveals the truth. He and Rain are officially teammates for this exam. Christa freezes in shock. Rain politely greets his new partner, further fueling her growing irritation. She shrieks that it is impossible. Giving the top talents the best partners, where is the fairness? Rain smirks, finally catching her slip. So, you have finally admitted that I am actually skilled. Flustered, she snaps back. You are barely adequate. Do not let it go to your head. She recalls his entrance exam, searching for hope, until she remembers he was a special admit. Her confidence returns. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Those two, did they not just try to kill each other recently? Logan shrugs, uncaring. First place is mine regardless. Rain simply smiles. By all means, try your luck. Rain questions Logan's obsession. Does a ranking matter if you plan to graduate as the absolute best? Logan stops cold, his eyes narrowing at the boy. Are you actually aiming for the valedictorian spot? If that is your goal, then yes, Logan explains. There are only 4 major exams to prove worth. Rain nods thoughtfully, then turns to Christa. Apologies, but I will not be holding back this time. Her confusion shifts into a predatory smile. Good, that is exactly the challenge I was hoping for. The instructor's clap echoes. 10 minutes for strategy. After that, the gates of the labyrinth shall open. 20 paths lie ahead, each teeming with threats. 1 team per route, no interference is allowed. While students scramble to plan, the assistant turns to Kyle. Why this specific trial for mere freshmen? True talent only awakens, Kyle muses, when a mage faces the absolute unknown for the first time. Kyle adds that in the face of pure chaos, most young minds simply go blank. Logic fails and hesitation takes root. This exam finds those who truly shine under extreme pressure. Logan's strategy is simple. How about we just obliterate every monster that dares to breathe near us? Effective, Rain admits, but a more refined strategy might save us some unnecessary effort inside. But Christa's loud boasting nearby begins to grate on Rain's nerves, breaking his quiet concentration. Eavesdropping already, she mocks. Irritated, Rain tells her to focus on her own team before failing. She smirks triumphantly at him. Save your pity, my master's strategy is already perfected. Logan points out the severe mana restrictions. Christa just nods, her confidence in her magic unshaken. She turns back to Rain. Did you really say you plan to graduate at the top? I have been the peak my whole life, she declares. Today, I will show you our true difference. She exits with her partner. Professor Kyle's glasses glint. Team 2, it is time to start. Kyle and his assistant watch, the live feed through a high-level, magical surveillance spell. As they descend into the darkness, Christa commands her partner to activate light magic immediately. Detection magic finds a target. She cushions their fall with sand, focusing purely on the hunt. 2 hostiles detected, 20 meters ahead, hiding behind the northwest pillar. Her partner shouts. Christa crosses her arms, a monarch's gaze in her eyes. Rise, she commands, summoning a legion. The sheer speed of her summoning leaves everyone, including Rain and Logan, momentarily stunned. It intrigues Kyle. That is the Warden bloodline magic, created by the legendary second sage, Warden. Though it is only a 2-star spell, her casting speed is nothing short of monstrous. Controlling 12 summons simultaneously is pure insanity. A monster is shredded as Christa watches with icy indifference. Her partner detects 3 lurkers in a dark crevice. Without hesitation, she commands the lethal advance. The trek feels endless. Annoyance flares in Christa's eyes as she questions her partner's sense of distance. "Wait," he whispers. Hidden threats emerge, 3 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and one stalking from the ceiling above. "Stay back," she commands, her shadow soldiers surging forward to claim the kills for themselves. Her sand summons erase the monsters instantly. Her partner stands paralyzed by her overwhelming combat speed. She turns back with piercing eyes. He stammers that the threats have already vanished into dust. They press onward. Above, stunned students watch their flawless progress from the high observation deck. The maze is a mere playground. Our protagonist marvels at her talent, recognizing the 𝒕𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆 magic. Pinpoint accuracy with 𝒕𝒕𝒓𝒐𝒏𝒈𝒆 magic is truly terrifying for a student. Logan identifies her as the generational genius. Rain wonders if the rumors of her brilliance are real. The guide notes that even the Academy elders fear Christa's untamed and legendary potential. Mid-combat, Christa's mind burns with ambition. To her, this level of power is still pathetic. She recalls bitter memories of mages, praising her high bloodline status under the former dean of Duel. A mage looks down at her, asking the young girl if she truly understands her lineage. He sneers at her father, calling him a weak 2-star mage unworthy of leading their house. How could a family of legendary sages fall so far into such miserable mediocrity? Though warned to stop, the red mage places a heavy, mocking hand on the young girl's shoulder. He spits out the truth. Her family is a disgrace to the entire world of magic. With a mother and sisters who lack mana, clinging to hope will only bring more suffering. He tells her to quit and live like a commoner. It would be better for everyone. Those insults echo in her mind as she ruthlessly slaughters her 20th victim in the maze. Her partner is breathless and broken. She coldly demands the location of the next target. He begs for mercy, but she refuses. Dragging him by a summon, she orders him to keep tracking. Spectators outside are speechless. Her performance is nothing short of a calculated slaughter. The instructor feels a chill. This level of magical mastery is far beyond any normal student. Past memories flicker. Facing the light within the void, a mage asks what she truly desires. She vows to become the absolute strongest. No one will ever look down on her family again. In the present, every fallen enemy is a testament to her iron will and silent vengeance. She will reclaim her house's honor. A mage once knelt, entrusting her with the family's salvation. A bat-like monstrosity dives from above, shattering one of her sand soldiers into fine dust. She flips backward gracefully, conjuring a fresh mountain of sand to crush the beast. "Rise," she whispers. Her sand warrior lunges, obliterating the monster with a single, earth-shaking punch. 4 minutes pass. The professor notes that all enemy mana signatures have finally vanished. Team Q finishes in 4 minutes and 13 seconds, a record-shattering pace under 5 minutes. Kyle smirks. This is the true power of a legendary bloodline at work. He grants her an S grade. As the group emerges, the other students stand in shell-shocked silence. Most hadn't even begun planning. Logan knew she was gifted, but this is a different dimension. Nabby realizes why the elders are obsessed. She is the destined sovereign of the Magic City. They stand before Kyle. He admits he has never seen a team dominate like this. They take second place in the rankings. Christa scoffs, stating overwhelming force is simply her tradition. The professor assumed their strength was just Highland stamina and high mana reserves. He was wrong. Her movements defy logic and transcend simple bloodline traits. This result was the fruit of her insane obsession. She is a genius who outworks everyone. The professor confirms their undisputed passing grade. Only a handful of elite candidates remained on the field. After receiving an S rank, Christa bowed deeply, her heart soaring with pure, unadulterated joy. Passing the protagonist, she sneered inwardly, convinced her talent was leagues above his own. Rain smirked at Logan, sensing that this trial was about to become far more entertaining. Memories of his past life as Lin resurfaced, of the Southern Star, a city once beautiful, now ruined. That fog is a death trap, Freed muttered, desperately searching for a safe way forward. The legendary Mage agreed, while their silver-haired leader only complained about her growing hunger. With a casual shrug, Esther ordered the total destruction of the entire area. "Destroy it," he gasped. "This city is a priceless piece of cultural history." "We must preserve its original form," Lin insisted, "for the sake of future generations." Kyle and Freed burst into laughter, clearly enjoying his sudden moral struggle. Striking a dramatic pose, Esther declared that sometimes you must act first and handle the fallout later. He sighed at her nonsense, telling his bickering comrades to stay focused on the mission. Fists clenched, the leader vowed to shoulder the blame as long as her comrades survived. Esther grinned, ready to let her powerful fists settle any disputes that might follow. Seeing her resolve, the protagonist wondered if life's problems could truly be solved so simply. Manifesting a magic circle, he accepted the chaos, ignoring whatever consequences awaited them afterward. One reckless choice can reshape destiny. Back in the present, Rain had finally made his decision. "I have a brilliant plan," he whispered, beckoning Logan to come closer for the details. Logan feared disqualification, but Rain promised to take full responsibility for any trouble they caused. Logan scratched his head, noting they could pass easily without taking such unnecessary risks. "But where's the fun in that?" Rain countered. Overhearing them, Christa demanded to know their scheme. "Are you scared?" Rain teased, telling the arrogant girl to simply watch the show unfold. She snapped back, insisting this was a serious exam, not some playground for his amusement. Rain turned back, asking if she'd forgotten that true magic was always meant to be fun. The preparation period ended, and the professor's voice boomed, signaling the start of the trial. As teams scrambled into the labyrinth, Rain calmly approached the presiding professor instead of entering. He questioned if student safety was absolute, receiving a confident nod from the powerful examiner. Hearing that, Rain smirked at Logan. It was time to unleash their devastating secret plan. With only 1 minute remaining, Rain stripped off his shirt, preparing for the coming impact. Logan stood firm, claiming he only needed 7 seconds to end this entire farce. Remembering his past companions, Rain channeled his mana, preparing to blow the entire labyrinth apart. Their magic surged to the absolute limit as the real exam finally commenced. Christa watched in horror, while Kyle sensed an ancient, terrifying power awakening within the boy. Within Rain's eyes flickered the Elwick family's 𝒂𝒈𝒆, the ultimate eye that pierces all magic. Mastering such a technique at 16 was unheard of, leaving Kyle baffled by the boy's intentions. In a heartbeat, the young mage's vision mapped every single monster lurking deep within the maze. He linked his consciousness to Logan's, leaving the professor frozen in utter shock at their coordination. At Rain's signal, Logan slammed his fist down, shattering the earth with cataclysmic, divine force. Shielding herself from the shockwave, Christa screamed that they had foolishly blocked the only entrance. But Kyle noticed something strange. The physical impact felt far too controlled for such overwhelming power. Looking closer, he realized with a start that Rain's devastating spell was still very much active. Cracks raced through the labyrinth, manifesting magic circles that crushed every monster like mere insects. A violent tremor shook the academy, forcing everyone nearby to their knees in absolute terror. Christa could only wonder what kind of monster had just been unleashed before her. Shaking in terror, the assistant stammers about a possible earthquake. Meanwhile, Kyle senses a divine magical eruption. Brushing off the dust, Kyle calmly demands a report on the labyrinth's internal mana resonance. The assistant gasps in horror at the monitor. Kyle reminds him coldly that only 60 seconds remain on the clock. The man reveals the impossible truth. Not a single monster remains alive within the entire dungeon. The professor is paralyzed with shock. This total massacre happened in less than 1 minute. Confused, the assistant claims it must be a mistake. Kyle demands an explanation for his doubt. He argues that total destruction violates the exam's purpose of testing traditional combat skills. He claims clearing the map is mere luck. An S-rank demands perfection, not absolute chaos. After a heavy silence, Kyle retorts that true geniuses are never bound by the world's definition of perfection. Perfection follows existing rules, but geniuses, they exist to shatter those fragile ideals and rewrite reality. A legend doesn't fit into a pre-made mold. They forge a new standard of perfection for others to follow. Stunned by the profound statement, Xammer asks for clarification on the professor's hidden meaning. Kyle notes their method was untraditional. He then asks Zir if he ever dared to destroy the entire maze. Zir admits he never tried. Kyle smiles. The boys forged a legendary path nobody else could imagine. Thinking of the impossible and actually executing it, that is what truly matters in the world of magic. It takes legendary intellect to take a reckless idea and manifest it into a devastating reality. Watching them, the professor predicts rain will soon become the sun around which the magic world revolves. 40 minutes later, the ordeal concludes. Kyle announces that the final rankings are now being posted. In this brutal trial, most elite applicants struggle just to finish within 30 minutes. Many students lie defeated, their mana pools drained or bodies broken by failing to control their power. Some face the shame of failure. Meanwhile, Christa's team finished in 4 minutes and 13 seconds, a stunning result. Under any normal circumstances, such a speed would easily secure a legendary S-rank evaluation. But since Rain finished in mere seconds, the girl's evaluation is cruelly downgraded to an A rank. Christa recalls the public praising the warden daughter for mastering 2-star magic at only age 6. For her crumbling bloodline, she was a beacon of hope, their only chance at avoiding total collapse. Suddenly, the crowd ignores her. Their whispers turn toward the mysterious situation of the Lewick household. They mock the so-called Prince of Disaster, offering fake sympathy while masking their deep-seated disdain. They are simply relieved that such a failure isn't part of their own prestigious families. Christa bullied Rain for his indifference, yet no matter how she barked, he never even glanced her way. Then, on Academy Day, Rain saved her. Even her mentor was stunned by his godlike casting speed. She is haunted by the mystery. During family meetings, he never showed a flicker of this monstrous strength. Even her tutor is baffled, wondering why a talent like him was late to the entrance exam. Christa asks to let the tardiness slide. Carolina teases her, asking why she suddenly cares about his fate. The girl realizes her teacher was right all along about the boy's hidden, explosive potential. Having such a monster around will set the academy ablaze. Intense competition is exactly what this school needs. She declares him her ultimate rival, but the final exam results completely shatter her pride. Her partner, Rumblo, thanks her profusely, oblivious that they have been overshadowed by a true legend. Christa stands frozen. How could she lose again to someone who treats magic like a mere hobby? She is furious she didn't break the maze, then realizes she lacked the power to do it anyway. Observing her from afar, Kyle notes the girl's terrifying and relentless competitive streak. It is a good trait, but chasing a monster like Rain will lead her down a path of thorns. With a heavy sigh, he adjusts his glasses, preparing to deliver the final verdict to the students. He calls for silence, explaining that Logan and Rain's team-up was an unfair concentration of power. Therefore, he makes a shocking announcement. Both top teams will be granted the prestigious S-rank evaluation. Cheers erupt from the crowd, but Christa remains frustrated. Rain approaches, noting it ended in a tie. Rain offers a gesture of peace, but Christa meets it with a stinging slap. The crowd gasps in stunned silence. Eyes blazing, she demands if he truly thinks this outcome satisfies her. Rain is baffled. They both earned S-ranks, but Christa screams that her grade was nothing but a pity prize. Overwhelmed by shame, the prideful heiress flees into the shadows, begging the world to stop staring. Rain's shout goes unanswered. He turns to Logan, wondering where he went wrong. Logan sighs. As a common student, the heavy politics of great magic clans are a total mystery to him. Rain narrows his eyes. Logan is hiding something, and his poker face is failing miserably. Logan whispers the dark rumors. The warden name is dead, a cursed clan dragging its feet through history. He explains that the wardens are ghosts of their former selves, their ancient glory turned to dust. Before Christa's arrival, the family had fallen so far they weren't even considered a true magic clan. It was Christa alone who dragged her bloodline back from the brink of extinction. Carrying that weight has left her soul frayed. Deep in the woods, the genius finally breaks down in tears. Hearing Rain approach, she stands tall. To her, a mage's dignity is their only true armor. They are meant to be icons of power, idols built on the crushing weight of public expectation. A mage cannot be seen as weak, yet this rigid pride is slowly tearing Christa apart. Since age 6, she's sacrificed everything, yet she feels like she's barely scraping by. Then comes this nobody, a nameless commoner who treats their sacred duel like a casual stroll. She screams that magic isn't a game. How can he call this fun when her life is a battle? Mana surges as she summons her magic, desperate for an answer to her agony. He's better than her without even trying. Rain effortlessly shatters her sand summon with a wave of his hand. Rain speaks of passion. When magic clicks, every ounce of suffering suddenly feels worth it. True joy is earned through blood and sweat, though it's certainly no walk in the park. Rain knows despair all too well. Enraged, Christa lashes out with a second, more powerful summon. Rain parries easily. He recognizes her talent. She's reached a master's level far ahead of her years. He acknowledges her hidden scars. Ironically, his presence finally pushed her to perfect that complex spell. Those words pierce her defenses, and the tears begin to flow once more. Despite her glare, Rain continues, his voice calm amidst the emotional storm. He tells her she could have quit. As a massive stone titan rises, he asks, "Why stay?" She orders him to be silent, but Rain presses on. Is she haunted by the past? Christa snaps, unleashing her summons full force to silence the boy who sees too much. In the chaos, she glimpses a memory, a time when defeating a simple straw dummy brought pure joy. Rain emerges unscathed. "You're powerful," he says. "Nobody can dictate your fate anymore." As she sobs, Rain makes a promise. It's time she remembered the true beauty of magic. Christa dries her eyes, snapping that his heroic act is becoming incredibly irritating. Rain smirks. As the winner of their duel, he's earned the right to act a little cool. It's been ages since he's felt this alive. He extends his hand to his official rival. "You made this fun," he admits. "Don't you dare disappoint me in the next exam." A genuine smile finally breaks through her icy facade, chasing away the lingering sorrow. With a crimson face, she slaps him away, swearing to crush his ego at their next meeting. Rain winces, nursing his stinging cheek. That girl certainly doesn't hold back her strength. As she sprints away, she whispers an apology to her father. She's finally choosing her own destiny. Professor Kyle observes that talent is a multifaceted beast, leaving his assistant utterly bewildered. Greatness is often forged by the presence of a rival, a wall to climb, or a friend to trust. Looking over the academy, he knows the real chaos is only just beginning. Kyle just smiles. Taking this teaching job at Delay was definitely the best decision of his life. A fresh start begins now. The legendary mage signals his helper to summon the disciples. Back at Tatton, classes are canceled. The dreaded weight of exam season settles over the academy. Logan notes Rain's battered face in the hall, but the mage claims it is pure delusion. Rain pivots, suggesting a training session. Logan stares in disbelief. The exams just ended, yet he wants more. Training is his only rest, but their path is blocked by Owen, who senses their lingering energy. Gesturing toward a massive mountain of parchment, Owen reveals 150 math problems. No dorms, no rest, until every single page is finished. Dragged inside, Logan curses his fate, wondering why he's trapped in this academic nightmare. With a sinister smile, Owen offers a choice: leave now and stay gone forever. Logan stays instantly. The trap snaps shut. Every student present is now drafted into this grueling mental marathon. Protests erupt from the exhausted crowd. Rain ignores the noise, his eyes shifting toward a drained Christa. She looks like the walking dead. Owen admits he nearly missed her enthusiasm earlier that day. Misinterpreting her spirit, he added extra work. Christa's scream of pure rage echoes through the room. Owen remains unmoved. Fail to finish, and her perfect grade will shatter into pieces. A chorus of misery fills the air as the students begin their desperate struggle. Silence, you primates, Owen warns. One more sound and they are banished from the hall. Rain realizes the true test, maintaining absolute precision while pushed to the brink of mental collapse. For a legendary mage, these are mere child's play. This is nothing but a battle of endurance. Activating 𝒂𝒈𝒆, he accelerates. 10 minutes later, the mage stands. He has already finished. Owen is stunned. If Rain is truly that confident, he is free to return to his dorm. A voice dripping with fatigue challenges him. It is Christa, refusing to believe his speed. She's utterly spent, convinced his haste equals failure. Rain only notes how truly pathetic she looks. Owen barks for silence again. Christa shrinks back as Rain calmly makes his exit. He glances at Logan, who looks utterly lost, drowning in a sea of impossible equations. Dreaming of a hot shower, Rain exits, only to be met by a sudden, powerful presence. A crimson-haired girl appears, her aura instantly locking onto the returning legendary mage. Her hair blazed like wildfire, while her eyes held a void of soul-piercing, ancient darkness. This was his first encounter with Lillian, the monster heralded as the champion of 8 schools. Later, curiosity takes hold. Rain questions Logan about the mysterious girl with the flaming hair. Logan is shocked by the question. Rain just shrugs, drying his face after a long day. Her vibe was unsettling, Rain notes. Logan's face pales, his posture stiffening with visible unease. Finally, Logan whispers the truth. She is the secret weapon of the prestigious Rivenal school. Dark rumors have shadowed Lillian since the very moment she arrived at the academy. Rivenal, the legendary cradle of the world's most devastating and elite fire specialists. Her crimson hair is a divine mark. Her affinity for flames defies all known logic. A monster among geniuses, she is the fated rival of Christa Warden herself. Elders claim she will become an archmage. Rain scoffs, but Logan's fear is undeniably real. Her strength is a terrifying reality. Rain nods, the intel secured. Logan finds a brief moment of peace with a drink. Then comes the jab. Rain asks if Logan knows so much because he has a crush. Logan chokes. Rain just grins mischievously, rooting for a couple that will never be. Yep. A secret weapon, Rain sighs. True peace is a luxury he will never find here. Day 4. The exams transition to the dangerous and jagged heights of Red Ridge. The boys stand before a massive 4-star barrier, vibrating with immense, ancient power. Zimmer announces a 60-man trial, a simulated fantasy realm born from within the barrier's heart. Then came the chilling announcement. The final exam would be a ruthless battle royale. Confusion grips the students while the instructors remain unfazed. Scattered treasures hold the key to victory, earning points for every find. Lethal illusionary beasts also prowl the grounds. Slaying these phantoms grants even more precious points to the bold. Difficulty dictates the reward. Every encounter forces a life-changing choice. Fight for glory or flee in shame. Master Zier asks for questions. Christa's hand shoots up instantly, her eyes blazing with fierce intent. She questions if it's just a race for loot and monster hunting. A simple hunt, hardly. That doesn't sound like a true war. The teacher smirks, revealing a darker, secondary rule. Total warfare is permitted. Pillage your rivals. Steal their points, their kills, and their hard-earned treasures. Even lethal strikes are allowed. The room freezes as the grim reality of the test finally sinks in. A rhythmic cane tap echoes through the hall. Marina steps forward, her presence demanding absolute silence. This world is forged from pure mana. Every drop of blood shed inside is a mere illusion. Death here isn't real, but the agony is. Your nerves will feel every burning, soul-shattering strike. Even if your soul is shattered, you'll wake up whole, so don't hold back. Unleash your full power. The scoring system is brutal, honest, and devastatingly straightforward. Only the top 2-point scorers will achieve the legendary S rank. No excuses, only results matter now. Cruel smiles spread among the students. To them, this test is just an excuse for absolute carnage. Marina recalls 𝒂𝒂𝒈𝒆's ancient words. A mage's duty is to weave dreams from magic, fueled by pure skill. In this realm, power and destiny belong solely to the elite of the elite. It's time to prove your worth. Team A begins the trial, featuring Hubert, Logan, and Christa. Smirking at her allies, Christa realizes she can finally let loose for the first time. Rain teases her instantly. Didn't you take it seriously before? You literally cried after your last defeat. Flustered, she denies everything with a blush. Nearby, Gertrude watches their bickering with a quiet smile. Focus up, Rain. Aim for S rank, because I'm the only one worthy of taking it from you. Don't you dare lose to anyone else. Only I am allowed to defeat you. Their laughter only fuels her rage. Zur cuts the tension. Team A, your battle begins now. Next up, Team B. Gertrude, Lillian, and Rain. Before the gate, Gertrude's fists tremble with nervous energy. Rain notices her shaking. You nervous? His voice snaps her back to reality like a thunderclap. She denies it fiercely, insisting Rain is the one who should be terrified. Our hero just smiles calmly. She warns him that being on her team is a privilege, and if he messes up, he's finished. He waves her off with a playful grin. Not a chance, partner. Rain turns to the silent redhead behind him. You've been staring for a while. What's on your mind? She needs a private word. Rain shrugs. If it's interesting enough, he's all ears. Christa's golem tears through a massive octopus. A chime rings out. 280 points achieved. But for her, this is just the beginning of her climb. As she wonders about Rain's score, shadows move. With a snap, sand warriors rise to crush a pathetic ambush. Did you think numbers could bridge our gap in power? The ambushers tremble, begging for mercy. She releases them, with a bored sigh as they flee into the darkness in terror. Trash like you isn't worth the mana. Next time, try facing me like real mages. Spectators marvel at her 2-star mastery. Meanwhile, Hubert dominates with wind magic, reaching 253 points. Logan follows close behind in third, racking up 249 points. His style is unrefined but devastating, a brute force that shatters everything in its path. Professor Kyle acknowledges the trio's dominance. Zimmer agrees. These three possess an aura beyond their years. Marhana scoffs. This is merely the warm-up. Elen watches, waiting for the true monster to awaken. Rain meets Lillian's gaze. I have never known defeat, she whispers, leaving him deeply puzzled. For her, failure means a fate worse than death. Tell me, why have you been hiding your power? I never hid my power, Rain mused. The world simply wasn't ready to witness it, yet. To Lillian, he was just another arrogant young master, a spoiled brat born with a legendary name. Gertrude frowned. If Lillian was highborn, why act like a servant? But Lillian's eyes went cold. That title isn't for me, she spat. In my father's eyes, I'm nothing but a tool. Rain's brow furrowed. She wasn't a child of love. She was a weapon forged for a single purpose. Her father, Headmaster Deedon, had locked her away since childhood, forcing her to master magic in isolation. Failure wasn't an option. One slip in her grades meant a beating until consciousness faded away. The cruelty was endless. He'd even torture her mother. Gertrude shuddered, horrified by the girl's hellish past. He's a master of fire, Lillian whispered. He knows how to inflict agony without leaving a scar. Rain's heart steeled. If she failed to reach the top, would that monster return to claim her? But Lillian's eyes burned. If he tries, I'll drag him to the depths of hell myself. A 4-star mage, Gertrude swallowed hard. Could a student truly hope to slay a titan like him? Lillian walked past, her goal clear: dominate the academy and shatter her father's twisted legacy. Consider this a warning, she hissed. Stay out of my path or be crushed by my ascension. A pink-haired girl laughed. Why bother? You're in the same class as Christa, the world's ultimate prodigy. Lillian didn't flinch. Christa Warden. To me, she's just an insignificant ant I'll soon surpass. Rage flared in Gertrude's eyes. How dare she mock the legendary Christa with such casual arrogance? Lillian met her gaze with ice-cold indifference. Did I say anything wrong, or are you just deaf? Enough, Rain interceded, sensing the desperation behind Lillian's mask. Gertrude, calm down, let her go. Lillian glared silently as she walked away. Rain's resolve didn't waver. Top rank belongs to me. I have a promise to keep to a friend. I warned you, the girl declared, her mana surging. Stay in my way and I will eliminate you. Suddenly, the announcement blared. Group A's trial is over. Christa and Hugo dominated with S-rank scores. Gertrude rushed forward, praising their godlike, elite performance. Christa sighed, wiping sweat from her brow. That was just a light jog. Team B, step up, Kyle shouted. The map glowed. Rain scanned the terrain, calculating his first move. Areas E and F were death traps, swarming with high-level beasts and legendary loot. The mountain peaks offered a king's view, but one wrong move would leave you cornered by rivals. The dense forests of D and E were perfect for shadows, but terrible for racking up points. But Rain wasn't looking for safety. He had already pinpointed the perfect stage for his power. It's my turn to shine, Gertrude smirked. This exam is already as good as finished for me. Christa gripped her shoulder. Don't hold back, show them our true strength. With a confident grin, Gertrude vanished in a blinding flash of teleportation light. The spatial gates hummed. It was Rain's moment. Yulan watched closely, remembering the pillars of a mage. Mobility, intel, and combat power. This was the ultimate test. She knew Rain was about to shatter every expectation she ever had. To no one's surprise, Lillian chose Area F, the heart of the storm. Her confidence radiated intensely. It was a high-stakes gamble for maximum points. In Area F, you either become a legend or fodder. He's playing it safe, Zigger scoffed. Rain's chosen zone seemed far too modest for an S-rank candidate. A smart choice indeed. How dull, Caroline groaned. I was hoping for a clash between him and Lillian in Area F. This boy could crush elite mages, yet he hides his fangs. Suddenly, a rival appeared from the thickets. The crowd roared in anticipation. Finally, the hidden monster is forced to reveal his true form. What could an S-rank freak truly do? The enemy prepared her spell, the air crackling with mana. But then, the unthinkable happened. Rain simply turned tail and bolted, leaving everyone in stunned silence. Caroline fumes while Ellen collapses in shock. His aunt screams as he retreats mid-battle. Christa watches closely, doubting if the boy even desires a legendary S-rank evaluation. Laughter erupts from the faculty. Sai's grandson is certainly an eccentric and unpredictable anomaly. Zigger questions the humor, but the teacher sees a far more captivating spectacle unfolding. Marina senses it. The boy is hoarding his mana for a truly devastating masterstroke. 40 minutes pass. Despite his pace, he is steadily closing on the academy elite. Tension rises in the stands as the audience demands to know the current leader. A jewel vanishes. Gertrude, the top-ranked mage, ruthlessly snatches victory from her rival's hands. Caroline smirks. Such cold efficiency is exactly what she expected from the top student. A monster lunges for a sneak attack, but Gertrude's magic obliterates it in an instant. Though hidden in Christa's shadow, Gertrude proves she is a terrifyingly brilliant combat mage. Carol checks Lillian's rank, finding her buried at the absolute bottom with 0 points. She has been meditating since the start. Is this a secret strategy or madness? Christa hunts a lizard, incinerating her prey with a single, perfectly executed fireball. She finds Lillian motionless. Zigger wonders if the girl has simply abandoned the exam. Meanwhile, Rain holds 13th place, choosing his battles with cold, lethal calculation and precision. Reaching the mountain zone through treasure hunting alone, his survival instincts are truly monstrous. Caroline observes his movements. He navigates the treacherous peaks like a seasoned mountain veteran. Ellen jokes he was a monkey, yet wonders what grand plan hides behind his pace. Rainfall descends, a perfect omen for monsters who hunt by the slightest ripple of sound. The true hunt begins. Suddenly, massive fireballs illuminate the dark and jagged mountain horizon. Lillian finally stirs. She commands her flames to seek out and find the top geniuses. A volcano roars to life behind her as she gathers a crushing amount of aura. "It's time," she whispers. An evacuation order blares as the earth begins to melt. This isn't a simple test. It's a brutal battle where the weak have nowhere left. As the lava flows, safe zones shrink, forcing the students into a final, bloody clash. The hooded overseers watch as the elite mages finally unleash their true, overwhelming momentum. Logan critiques their rhythm, while Christa notes they lack the finesse of a master. "Wait!" a hooded figure shouts, spotting a silhouette moving at a godlike, insane speed. It's Rain Lewick. His score is skyrocketing. Marina demands every camera follow his movements. The feed flickers. Rain stands amidst a graveyard of monsters and conjured stone spikes. Ellen's heart races. The dormant lion has finally decided to begin his legendary hunt. Deep in a cave, monsters sense the carnage. Rain's ranking begins a terrifying, rapid ascent. Moretta watches, captivated by the mysterious boy's unorthodox and lethal combat style and flow. Logan is baffled, but Christa realizes he's using vibrations to bait the entire mountain. This was his grand design. Rain dances through lethal claws with effortless, silent grace. "Time's up," he murmurs. A massive magic circle glows, pulsing with ancient, forgotten power. Earth and wood erupt. He skewers every beast simultaneously, leaving the observers completely speechless. Kyle realizes the truth. Rain manipulated the very environment before the test even started. The score updates. A staggering 164 kills in one single, breathtaking moment. Caroline breaks into a sweat. Casting high-tier magic that fast is simply humanly impossible. Ellen beams with pride. With 362 points, her nephew has seized the throne. His aura settles. "That should be enough," he sighs, deciding his demonstration is over. The battlefield is left in ruins, a scorched landscape submerged in a sea of lava. Gertrude's lead has evaporated. As the dust settles, Zigger calls out to the new king. Kyle notices the leaderboard shifting. 2 names have completely vanished. This isn't a simple glitch, it's something far more sinister. Ziegler shows him the data. The instructor's face pales as the grim reality sets in. Kyle senses a disturbance. Top-tier students disappearing like this. Even for the elite top 20, this is unheard of. He commands the staff to track the last known coordinates of the 30th and 40th, ranked students immediately. The playback reveals a nightmare. A high-level fire spell is literally incinerating a student where they stand. Pure horror erupts among the observing faculty members. The second student tries to resist, but a follow-up spell crushes her defense instantly. Her final breath is a curse. Fear paralyses the staff. Through the rain, the girl advances like a silent reaper, hunting them one by one. If she manages to topple the top 2 ranks, her absolute dominance will be sealed. Caroline and Ellen tremble in terror. Beyond her insane strength, the girl's twisted personality makes her a true monster. Staring at the rankings, Gertrude wonders exactly when Rain managed to surpass her. She spots Lillian closing in as more ranks vanish. Suddenly, a fire phoenix erupts, leaving the girl in total confusion. The massive inferno shatters the very tree she was standing on. She narrowly escapes the blast. As she falls, she searches for the source, but another lethal spell locks onto her. The impact levels the ground. Watching the duel unfold, even Christa begins to feel a sense of genuine concern. Lillian approaches with eerie calm. Not a single speck of ash remains of the previous destruction. Suddenly, Gertrude strikes with a lethal kick. Lillian evades, and fire and water mana clash in a violent explosion. This perfect balance of power makes Christa's blood boil with excitement. This is a true battle of equals. Lillian offers to stop holding back. Gertrude scoffs, telling her that regret is useless at this point in time. Letting a leaf flutter away, the redhead decides it is time to shift her tactical approach completely. She summons a colossal firebird. Gertrude is forced to work desperately just to stay in the fight. Gertrude claims the outcome is inevitable. In response, Lillian shatters her necklace, scattering glowing spheres everywhere. Christa recognizes the rosary beads. Caroline is shocked to see such a rare and powerful relic in play. Rivendell Academy was famous for mages who mastered talismans to weave complex magic circles mid-combat. Rapidly weaving symbols to maximize her power, Lillian summons a terrifying army of hellish fire insects. Lillian clenches her fists, commanding the searing swarm to surge forward. The burning insects dive-bomb Gertrude, who frantically summons a torrent of water to survive. A massive blast rocks the arena. Through the smoke, Gertrude launches a surprise strike, but Lillian evades effortlessly. Gripping a fresh talisman in her hand, the girl declares the end. Gertrude counters by hurling a massive tree toward her opponent. Christa roars with glee. Gertrude charges, dodging fireballs with water-enhanced speed to deliver a devastating flying kick. Ellen is stunned. Lillian evades again, leaving Gertrude to crash violently into the dirt. While still airborne, Lillian is already prepping her next lethal talisman strike. Gertrude is wide open for a direct hit, but just as victory seems certain, a magic circle glows underneath. Lillian is caught off guard. With a triumphant smirk, Gertrude unleashes a crushing geyser from below. Realizing she tapped a water vein, Kai notes her tactical genius was leagues ahead from the start. Spoken like a true Phaeton, her mastery over water and martial arts is absolutely professional grade. This time, Lillian picked the wrong opponent. She is pinned to the ground, completely helpless. Gertrude vows to shatter her arrogant pride. No one challenges a noble lady and walks away unscathed. Christa pats Logan's shoulder. Gertrude mocks her opponent. With those talismans soaked, Lillian is officially powerless. She offers one final chance. Surrender now, or have your arms snapped like a twig. Lillian smirks. If their positions were reversed, she would have ended Gertrude's life long ago. Gertrude's eyes turn cold. It seems her opponent has chosen the difficult path. Without hesitation, the bone snaps. Lillian calmly explains that talismans weren't a sign of slow calculation. With a talisman gripped between her teeth, she finally unveils the true reason. Her raw power overflows. A blinding radiance erupts from her very soul. Gertrude recoils in terror as Lillian rises, flanked by a swarm of lethal fire spirits. With a sharp gesture, she coalesces the sparks into a blinding nova of pure heat. The light fades to reveal a monstrous fire serpent. Lillian coldly orders it to feast. Gertrude stands frozen, unable to fathom how a student wields such catastrophic, high-level power. It is the fire serpent, the legendary apex summon that the prestigious Rivendell Academy treasures. This was the signature beast of the great mage 𝒂𝒈𝒆, known for its extreme arrogance. Even at a mere 30% of its true form, its presence is suffocatingly dense. Ellen watches in disbelief. A 16-year-old wielding such ancient power is utterly unheard of. As Christa trembles at the sight, Gertrude realizes that surviving this nightmare is impossible. The gargantuan beast unleashes a deafening roar, spewing a torrent of incinerating hellfire. Gertrude barely escapes the blast, but the residual heat turns the area into a wasteland. The ground vaporized instantly. Stone was reduced to nothing but fine, gray ash. The observers watch in horror as an explosive shockwave ripples through the dark forest. Elsewhere, another student flees for her life as the serpent's predatory aura locks on. Gertrude is marked for death. Lillian isn't holding back, she is playing for keeps now. Zigger questions if this has gone too far. This isn't a test, it is an execution. A direct hit from those flames would leave more than scars. It would shatter her soul. Morena agrees the exam should end, but then she spots a shadow moving above. High in the burning canopy, Rain watches the chaos with cold and calculated eyes. He recalls his grandfather's warning. With his current mana, he has exactly 3 strikes. One wrong move against a high-level mage, and his very existence would be extinguished. In this game of life and death, picking the perfect moment is everything. From his bird's-eye view, the hidden powerhouse analyzes the destruction unfolding below him. He has enough points to pass. The logical choice is to retreat and hide. His mana is dangerously low, yet he cannot simply watch an innocent girl be slaughtered. Abandoning logic, he leaps from the shadows, activating the forbidden power of 𝒂𝒈𝒆. 5 runic triangles ignite. Rain dissects the complex formula while falling through the sky. Blood trickles from his eyes as he pushes his perception far beyond human limits. Every life-or-death struggle pushes him closer to reclaiming his throne as a 6-star master. Rain realizes this lethal attack wasn't meant for Gertrude. It was a challenge for him. Don't flatter yourself, he thinks, instantly dismantling the grand spell with a single thought. Silence falls. Gertrude stands amidst the embers, paralyzed by the impossible feat she witnessed. Lillian's composure shatters as her ultimate fire summon vanishes into thin air. This trial tests more than just power. It weighs the hidden nobility of the soul. Morena watches the boy, wondering if he is the secret weapon they have sought. Rain spits out blood, the cost of nullifying a 5-star spell weighing heavy. He is completely drained, a hollow shell of a man standing against a genius. Gertrude snaps out of her trance, desperately calling out to her mysterious savior. Run, he commands, even as Lillian's eyes burn with a new, frantic desperation. Lillian knows she lacks the mana for another grand summon, yet her pride demands blood. That boy destroyed her masterpiece. He is the only obstacle left in her path. She prepares to strike. If he is truly defenseless, she will crush him right here. A second serpent manifests, smaller, leaner, but fueled by a far more volatile rage. Rain dances on the edge of death, narrowly evading the concentrated blast of fire. As the strike nears, Ellen screams, but a shadow looms. Gertrude intervenes just in time. Lillian spins, only to meet a mana-fused fist to the gut. She is sent soaring through the air. Rain stares in disbelief. He never imagined the girl would actually return to save his life. When asked why, Gertrude scoffs. Her lady Christa would be devastated if her rival were expelled. Outside, Christa's face burns crimson. As rumors spread, she desperately claims they are merely rivals. Logan gives a clumsy thumbs up, earning a death stare from an infuriated Christa. He jokes about them being a perfect pair, only to receive a stinging slap across the face. As Logan hits the floor, Christa vows Gertrude will pay for this public humiliation once exams end. Still, Rain's feat was legendary. Only those who master the 𝒂𝒈𝒈 bloodline can command all magic. In a millennium of history, only 3 souls have ever touched that divine peak of power. Even those legends were aged and broken when they finally grasped such absolute mastery. Gertrude orders the boy to retreat. This duel is between her and Lillian alone. Rain notes her grievous wounds, but she refuses to back down until Lillian is finally crushed. Don't die, Rain warns. Gertrude smirks, promising her survival is a mathematical certainty. Spitting blood, Lillian demands she move. Gertrude merely laughs at the girl's fading audacity. The one who started this war now begs for a path. Lillian vows to erase every obstacle. She lunges like a starving predator, the serpent's demonic spirit surging through her very veins. Gertrude meets the fury with the calm of the tide. Impact, Rain flees, narrowly dodging a bolt. Zigger gasps in shock. What kind of monster was that lurking in the shadows? A pack of low ranks surround Rain. He is magically bankrupt and physically broken, the perfect prey. Despite the danger, a smirk plays on his lips. To him, they are still just bottom feeders. If the genius Logan failed, What hope do they have? He offers one chance to leave in peace. The leader acknowledges Rain's strength, but questions why a king would negotiate with ants. Lightning crackles. A student charges, desperate to claim the head of a weakened titan. Their weapons lock in a desperate struggle. The attacker sneers, certain Rain is finally powerless. Ellen sighs in disappointment. There is always a vulture looking to feast on the wounded. Caroline disagrees. In this cruel world, striking a weakened foe is just efficient strategy. The wood snaps. Rain realizes even the weak can be dangerous when they sense blood. Rain collapses. As lightning prepares to strike the finishing blow, fate hangs by a single thread. He flings dirt into his foe's eyes, following up with a brutal, non-magical haymaker to the face. Fear ripples through the crowd. How does this boy know the forbidden 𝒂𝒈𝒆 combat style? Ellen's eyes narrow. The mysteries surrounding Rain are starting to become truly overwhelming. Observers are stunned. Rain's 3-star magic calculations and martial prowess are terrifyingly precise. His technique is flawless, even if his mana control is still being refined. Christa has a rival. The students tremble. He is dropping them like flies without using a single drop of mana. They gamble that his previous spell drained him dry. If they swarm him, he must fall. Like a pack of wolves, the boys prepare to tear him down in relentless waves. Myra watches coldly. Noble hearts mean nothing without the absolute strength to back them up. With his last ounce of willpower, the legendary mage prepares to teach them a final lesson. An electric shockwave erupts. The attackers fall in a heap, leaving the instructors absolutely speechless. Zigger is baffled. Where did that mana come from? The boy was completely empty. Kyle reveals the truth. It was the latent plasma within the lightning sword's original attribute. By turning the wet ground into a conductor, Rain unleashed a genius tactical trap. This is not the skill of a student. This is the combat experience of a veteran. The last student standing trembles. Rain is a monster, but surely he is finally out of tricks. His ally strikes him hard, granting a nod of approval as layers of thick mud envelop his frame. With an arrogant grin, he claims Rain is history, using a spell that bolsters physical stats with earth mana. However, it's a double-edged sword. In high-level team battles, relying on raw, unrefined power is a fatal flaw. Clad in stone-hard clay, the bully demands Rain's points, sneering that he might let him walk away unharmed. But our legendary protagonist doesn't even blink, refusing the demand with cold, absolute certainty. The brute lunges, mistaking Rain's calm for a joke, as the boy merely sighs before the coming impact. Suddenly, Rain vanishes. Before the bully can react, the protagonist is already inches away, staff poised to strike. Following a precise staff strike, Rain unleashes a lightning spell, maximizing the damage against the mud-covered target. Rain coldly reminds him that the 𝒂𝒈𝒆 staff technique was forged by a legend. Don't underestimate this legacy. Panic sets in as the bully realizes that single blow felt like a mountain, crushing his internal organs. He questions if Rain's fatigue was a bluff, yet senses the boy is finally at his breaking point. Desperation kicks in. Failure means a humiliating F rank, a permanent stain on any aspiring mage's record. Unbeknownst to them, the faculty is judging every move, because in this academy, the process determines your future. Losing points is one thing, but being humiliated by a student using 0 mana is total social suicide. He'd become the academy's biggest joke, and the threat of immediate expulsion looms over his failing head. Rain offers a cold reality check, noting that survival might still grant a decent rank through others' failures. Nearby, the air trembles as the duel between Lillian and Gertrude reaches a fever pitch of destruction. Watching the chaos, Rain notes that if these two monsters keep clashing, the entire arena will crumble. With the clock ticking down, he has no intention of being caught in their pointless, destructive crossfire. Choose now, Rain demands. A safe B rank or total expulsion. A falling tree emphasizes his deadly ultimatum. Drenched in cold sweat, the bully wavers, as a B rank suddenly seems like a divine blessing. But pride wins out. He refuses to settle, thinking it would be idiotic to quit while so close. It's obvious to anyone watching. The kid in front of him is running on fumes and empty strength. That final lightning strike must have drained his last drop of mana. One more push, and victory is certain. He rises, cursing his own hesitation, knowing a golden chance to crush a genius only comes once. It's kill or be expelled, and he steels his resolve, convinced that victory is finally within his grasp. As he lunges, Rain's eyes turn cold. Paralyzed by pure killing intent, the bully is fried by lightning. At that precise moment, the horn sounds. The trial is over, and the protective barrier begins to dissolve. Rain breathes a sigh of relief as victory is secured, then collapses, completely spent from the ordeal. The defeated bully also lets out a shaky breath, relieved that the nightmare is finally over at last. Carolyn asks if Ellen felt the tension, but the instructor's eyes sharpen as they notice a lingering anomaly. The two female monsters refuse to stand down, and Kyle calmly notes this bloodlust might cost them points. Zigger cuts in. Point systems don't matter now. Those two have completely lost themselves to the thrill of battle. Mara scoffs at the childish temper tantrums, and with a sharp tap of her staff, shatters the barrier. As the illusions fade, Lillian and Gertrude find themselves striking empty space, their battle-maddened minds finally clearing. A grumpy Marhenna mocks them, questioning the value of talent when it is wasted on such immature egos. The test is done. Leave, they are commanded. Gertrude touches her skin, stunned to find her wounds vanished. Reality sets in. Every injury was a hyper-realistic illusion, woven by the complex magic of the Academy's barrier. As Gertrude glares at Lillian, Marina's patience snaps, barking at them to move before she loses her temper. Concerned staff question the barrier collapse, but Marina dismissively tells them to simply recast the damn spell. Back in the lobby, tension lingers as Lillian corners the boy, demanding to know his secret technique. When he plays dumb, her frustration boils over, screaming for him to stop hiding and answer her seriously. Rain counters with a piercing gaze, asking if she truly respects the man she calls her father. Lillian's eyes cloud with rage as she asks if he's picking a fight, but Rain remains unreadable. He notes their similarities. She's crushing everyone just to fulfill her father's will, like a puppet on strings. Her cold ambition burned, just like the ruthless legacy of her father. If she desired a life of shadows, his words would never reach her. She claimed the fire beast's defeat, but Rain knew their fated clash neared. He vowed to show her true power soon, advising her to be ready. Enraged, she spat that a silver-spooned brat like him could never understand struggle. Logan and Christa waited ahead, as Gertrude questioned if they were truly prepared. Christa silenced the girl's arrogant chatter with a sharp, disciplinary blow to the head. Rain sought answers from Logan, but was met with a stoic, silent dismissal. Mortified by the unwanted attention, Christa swore to finally seal that loud mouth. Seizing the girl's collar, Christa demanded to know why Rain had been interfering. He played the fool, but Christa knew he had secretly saved Gertrude's life. He shrugged it off, claiming Lillian's mana had simply hit its absolute limit. Skeptical yet relenting, Christa decided the girl required a truly harsh lesson. As Rain walked with a smirk, Logan questioned what could be so funny. Rain laughed, realizing this detour was providing an unexpectedly thrilling, new experience. Logan noted Dilaton's strangeness, while Rain's cryptic response left him utterly confused. Without Esther's letter and the top student's secret prize, he'd have missed this. In the end, he realized Esther's foresight had been flawlessly, hauntingly accurate. This world was truly fascinating. Meanwhile, Gertrude watched Christa confront their rival, Lillian. Christa mocked Lillian, praising the interesting, little stunt she pulled with her servant. She warned that the Warden family always repays their debts, 100 times over. Exhausted students littered the academy, yet the relentless examinations continued without mercy. On the fourth night, the grueling written trials finally tested their mental limits. The fifth morning brought a literal hell, far surpassing the brutality of combat. And just like that, the chaotic storm of midterms finally reached its end. 4 geniuses achieved S-rank glory: Christa, Nora, Kedin, and the mysterious Rain. With only one throne available, a final bonus evaluation would decide the victor. To ensure fairness, only neutral faculty could cast these high-stakes, decisive bonus votes. Professor Kyle held 2 points, while the legendary Manhwa wielded 3 game-changing votes. One teacher argued that the point distribution clearly reflected each student's inherent potential. Heated debates erupted over raw talent as the faculty clashed over their favorites. Zigger interrupted the chaos, demanding they review the current standings of the elite. Christa led with 6 points, while Rain trailed behind at the very bottom. Assistant Professor Luke spoke first, praising Christa's seemingly flawless and perfect execution. He acknowledged Nora's precision and Kedin's incredible fusion of music and arcane arts. Yet, for the sake of magic's true future, Luke cast a vote that stunned Zigger. The room fell silent as Zigger announced Rain had secured both of Luke's votes. Though Rain was on another level, Christa's lead seemed insurmountable given Manhwa's reputation. It was a foregone conclusion. Christa Warden was destined to be the top freshman. Unexpectedly, the cold Professor Manhwa broke into a sudden, echoing burst of laughter. She ridiculed Luke's future of magic speech, mocking his smooth, silver-tongued charm. She decided to invest her points into the same future that Luke had chosen. Her pen danced across the paper, leaving the surrounding teachers in pure shock. Zigger's voice trembled. The undisputed number 1 of the midterms was Rain Lewig. Alone in his room, the hidden legend smirked. His progress was exactly as planned. Rudin notes, his unique magic research progress has increased by 0.8%. Rain muses, if true growth only comes through combat before finally setting out. In the past, Frida chugs a magic potion until Kyle begs for a sip. The exhausted mage claims she is dry after 4 days of sleepless, intense brewing. Kyle grumbles, throwing a warning toward Lynn. She wonders why he never visits her sanctuary atop the treacherous Red Mountain. She mentions Dragon's Breath, a legendary elixir that makes mana explode like a rocket. Kyle doubts such generosity, but Frida reminds him of her divine status. As the fire dragon Dacaden's priestess, she treated him well during their mountain journey. Rain decides it is only polite to accept a gift prepared with such care. 300 years later, he begins the 18-hour trek to the summit. For a millennium, Dacaden's presence saturated this entire region with ancient, mystical mana. Though mages turned this land sacred, Rain finds the climb incredibly exhausting. A stranger interrupts, asking if the boy intends to loot the Forbidden Mountain. Rain tenses at the sketchy man, who tells him to lower his guard. He assumes the kid is desperate and offers a grim piece of advice. He warns that no looter has returned alive since the site was abandoned. Rain asks if a guardian still stalks the ruins. Rumors suggest a demon, summoned by the priestess now, protects the sanctuary. Rain doubts a demon guardian exists, though the man admits the truth is unknown. The stranger recalls nearly dying after taking just 1 step too far. Rain ignores the warning and continues his ascent toward the peak. The old man shouts a final plea to avoid the cursed entrance. Rain offers thanks, staying alert for whatever monsters might lurk within. As night falls, Rain climbs onward while the sounds of beasts echo nearby. Hating spider rats, he recalls Frida questioning his worth as the party's mage. Esther calls him cute, but Frida insists her own pet bird has more charm. Insulted by the pigeon comparison, the bird snaps that it is a parrot. Reaching the temple, an exhausted Rain wishes he had Pippi's wings. Unsure where to begin, he decides to investigate the main temple entrance first. Even a dragon's sanctuary cannot withstand the slow, crushing decay of time. Despite the demon legends, Rain feels no presence within the silent ruins. The moment he enters, an intense, blinding glow erupts directly above his head. A flaming phoenix screams through the sky and dives straight for him. Rain barely dodges as his papers burn, cursing the bird's violent welcome. A stone wall surges upward, sending the screeching monster crashing into the barrier. The familiar cry makes Rain realize the firebird is actually his old friend, Pippi. He dodges another blast, remembering how the bird once scorched his hair. It seems impossible after 300 years, yet the evidence is undeniable. Heart racing, Rain turns and calls out the name of his long-lost companion. Avoiding a massive gust, he shouts that his true identity is Ren. The bird stops its assault and lands, momentarily confused by the past. It remembers their mascot rivalry, but finds his new face completely unrecognizable. Overcome by primal rage, the bird unleashes a devastating torrent of flames. Rain deploys a water shield, smiling through the heat because Pippi is alive. Reaching out, the regressed mage cries that despite this youthful face, he remains the true Ren. Yet the beast strikes with murderous intent, forcing Ren to summon a mana shield against its fury. Desperate, he searches his memories for a secret proof, known only to their ancient, legendary bond. A flash of recognition hits as he begins weaving a signature water spell from his past life. The blast pins the creature down before double magic circles erupt with his hidden, overwhelming power. Manipulating a perfect water sphere, he demands recognition as our epic tale pauses on this shocking reunion. Support this legend with a like and subscribe for more epic returns. See you next time.